this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. I'm feeling it today. I don't know what, but are you feeling it? There's something. There's something in the air tonight. Fandango. Is that it? Fernando, that's it. Lots coming up on the show this morning, including later on, I'll be borrowing a pen from Kelly Betts, yes. Also, Bedfordshire has got a lot to be proud of, including it's officially home to Britain's drunkest driver. Well done, guys. Unbelievable. Beds police stopped someone driving 8 times over the limit. It's not working, is it? The drink drive laws aren't working at the moment. How could anybody argue against a zero-tolerance policy? That's what we need. You have one drink, you drive, you get busted. Simple. A Milton Keynes pensioner is facing eviction from her hospital bed. It's partly because she's got nowhere to go, and partly because her family are turning down what the council's offering. Keen to get your thoughts on that. And an incredible story with some incredible pictures that we will put on Facebook later. We'll be talking to the Wickham restaurant owner whose customers are having to leap over a dirty grate trench to get their hands on his jerk chicken. The electric company dug it, he doesn't dig it. What's happening? Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text, 81333. Start your text 3CR. Or, and I suspect we're going to get lots of phone calls today, so get in early. 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Bedfordshire, as we know, is wonderful, isn't it? Famous for lots of great things. John Bunyan, Luton Town, clangers, the pasty kind, of course, is what I'm talking about. And now Britain's drunkest driver. According to the latest police authority figures, Beds caught someone driving 8 times over the legal limit. How can you be 8 times over the legal limit and not dead? Deary me. The case has been highlighted ahead of this year's festive crackdown. I just think that we need to. It doesn't work. The drink drive laws do not work. Zero tolerance. You have one drink, you don't drive. And if you do drive and you get caught with it, boom. That's it. Licence taken off you. How could anybody sensibly argue against that? You can't, can you? 08459 455 555. Well, we sent our reporter Justin Dealey out to speak to motorists about this. Morning, Justin.
Morning, boss.
Zero tolerance to me, slightly easier for me to say because I'm teetotal, but zero tolerance, it makes perfect sense.
It does to a certain degree, but when you think about medicines, certain medicines, of course, have alcohol, certain desserts have alcohol, so it's going to be tricky. I have been talking to motorists on the A5 about a zero tolerance in terms of a ban, and here's what motorists have had to say.
Well, I should say there's just one mistake, and that's that. Never, ever drink and drive.
But then again, I think we all know people who do it and do it on a regular basis.
They do, yeah. The thing that frightens me to death on the road is drink drivers. You never know where they're going to come from or anything, so no, zero tolerance, basically.
So once you're caught, that's it, you never drive on the roads again?
Well, other countries do it. Why shouldn't we? I think so. I think, it's the only way to go.
I think none, really, to be honest.
Zero tolerance.
My granddad never drank, he was a police officer. I don't drink. I had one scare when I was younger, maybe one warning, but that warning was enough for me to, I went out on a Wednesday night. Friday I got pulled over and I was on an amber. And that had been over 2 days and I'd only had 3 pints.
And what's your thoughts on these people like this man from Bedfordshire who was caught 8 times over the limit? What do you think about those people?
They're just a danger to other road users. There's nothing really I can say apart from just stupidness, really.
Justin Dealey, thanks very much for that. 08459 455 555. Can anybody sensibly put up a strong argument against zero tolerance? You have one drink, you're out. You need a very, very tiny little window of flexibility to cover the mouthwashes and the desserts that have got a bit of booze in. Now, I'm not a scientist, I don't quite know what that would be, but someone can let me know. 08459 455 555. Joined now by Declan Duggan from Luton. Declan, your son rather sadly died, didn't he, after getting into a car with a drunk driver. What happened, Declan?
Well, my son had been offered a lift. That's basically what it was. And it was his friend who offered him a lift. And it was the biggest mistake that my son had ever made. who obviously knew that the driver was erratic and put the blue lights on and had a police chase. The driver of the car obviously then sped to get away. He'd been drinking, and the car had spun out of control, and the car hit a tree, and my son took the full impact and was killed. The driver, there was 3 kids in the car. The 2 other guys survived. My son was the only one who didn't make it, and the other 2 had been on an all-day drinking binge, and my son had just literally went out an hour before he got in the car. He only had 1 drink. My son was the only one who had his blood tested because he was dead. The other 2, because they were unconscious, didn't have their blood tested, so they couldn't prove the amount of alcohol that he drank. And that was way back in 2002, and not a lot seems to have changed, but there are different views on alcohol and intake and different levels, and I have my own one. I was a publican for 24 years, and I sold booze as a living.
So what do you, we'll get to what you possibly think should be the limit. When you hear about this chap who was 8 times over the limit, how does that make you feel?
No, listen, it's just complete and utter irresponsibility. And what this highlights is that there really is there's always people who are going to abuse the system. But what in the bottom line is, and we always come back to it, it's educating people about the dangers and the consequences of it. And then what you'll find is that you don't want to be cracking a big sledgehammer for this nut by highlighting 1 or 2 pieces, because what you don't do is penalise the responsible many by the irresponsible few, and this is how sometimes things like this happen. And zero tolerance sounds great and sounds easy. It's going to be so difficult to
Why? Tell me why you think it's difficult, Declan. Because to me, it just sounds like that's it. There is a simple rule: you don't have a drink. If you do, that's it. You're in trouble. Why do you think that would be difficult to police?
I just think it's very, very difficult, because if someone's sitting at home at evening and had a glass of wine, and with their dinner, they get a phone call 2 hours later. It's their daughter or their son. Their car's broke down. Someone's got to go off and pick them up. They've had 1 glass of wine, 1 bottle of beer, right? That does not impair you totally to go down the road and pick your son or daughter up. I run a pub for 23 and a half years. I had regular people who used to come into my pub after work at 5 or 5:30 and have 1 pint of Guinness or 2 pints of Guinness, and they would drive home after 1 or 2 pints, depending on what they had. And these people were doing this for 20 years. So what we're trying to say is these people were responsible, they knew what they were doing. We're going to crack down on all these responsible people because of certain individuals who we should be targeting and who we should be cracking down on.
Declan, I really appreciate your thoughts this morning. Thank you very much indeed. Declan Duggan from Luton, who eldest son Kevin died after getting into a car with a drunk driver. 08459 455 555. Interesting what he says. He doesn't think zero tolerance would work. I do think it's the only way. The example he gave about, well, if your kid breaks down, you've had a glass of wine. Well, what if your kid had broken down and you'd had a bottle of wine? What would you do then? 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. Who do you agree with? Declan or me? What do you think? Zero tolerance, or should we have some leniency? Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Oh, I do like a little bit of bit of Beatles, and a bit of Beatles from Revolver. The Revolver's on my mind because Justin Daly was asking me what my favourite album of all time is. Well, it's that. I've given away the magic. You can hear that more with Justin on Saturday. Right, it's 6:15. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Now, here's a story, keen to get your thoughts on, and I'm sure you'll have an opinion on this. 08459 455 555. An 82-year-old woman has been served an eviction notice from her bed at Milton Keynes Hospital. Joan Parker had a fall in February. You might remember her story. Her family were concerned about the time it took for her to get a scan and complained that the food she was given was unsuitable as she's had throat cancer. Well, she's been in hospital ever since, partly because she's got nowhere else to go. Joined now by our Milton Keynes reporter, Craig Lewis. Craig, give us the background to this story.
Morning, Ian. Well, back in February, Joan Parker was admitted to Milton Keynes Hospital after suffering a fall in her home. But once there, the 82-year-old was left waiting 4 days for a scan on her head injury. Her family told us they believe she'd have died if they hadn't have constantly badgered staff, and they were also complaining the food she was given was unsuitable as she'd previously had throat cancer, as you mentioned. When we raised this with the hospital, its chief executive, Joe Harrison, insisted she hadn't been left for an unreasonable time without a scan, and this was the correct clinical approach for her condition. But he did apologise for letting Mrs. Parker down when it came to the food.
OK, so how is... this happened back in February. How is she physically now?
The good news is she's made a full physical recovery, but her family say there's been psychological damage. She's been having a recurring nightmare in which she's left lying in a pool of blood that gets bigger and bigger, and she only wakes up when she's physically sick in her dream, and after that she just can't get back to sleep again at all. I've seen a psychologist's report which said she couldn't return to her old home, and the family have since sold that property. They've been working with Milton Keynes Council to try and find a suitable home, but without any luck.
Do we know why the psychologist said she couldn't return to her old home?
Well, basically, it comes down to the fact that she's having these nightmares. She really is very scared. She went back there to collect some clothes, and she basically was jittery, she was frightened, she was so scared she just ran in the house and grabbed her stuff, and she's not been able to go back since psychologically.
Okay.
Also, it's a second story flat, and she just can't cope with stairs anymore.
OK. So why has she now been served this eviction notice?
Well, quite simply, Milton Keynes Hospital needs her bed back. I sent an email this morning, actually, just before I came down here, which says they've been trying to get this resolved for 20 weeks now, and that's because she's been deemed to be clinically well, and they say the hospital is no longer the best place for her to be. And clearly it's not good for an elderly woman to be living in hospital for months at a time when she doesn't really need to be there. Joan's family are upset that the hospital hasn't done more to help, and indeed I've seen an email to them from one hospital official saying it would be politically incorrect for them to do so. But hospital officials have told me they're not there to resolve housing disputes, and a resolution needs to be found between Joan and Milton Keynes Council.
OK, well that sounds quite sensible. Why haven't the council found her somewhere to live then?
The council says it has tried to help. Housing officials say Joan's been offered 3 homes and has turned them all down. Now, 3 homes in the sort of 5 or 6 months that she's been looking for a property actually doesn't seem very much for them to offer, really. But perhaps that's a symptom of the general shortage of available accommodation in Milton Keynes.
Which we know is a huge problem. We've talked about that before, haven't we?
We've spoken about that, yeah. The council tell me they're committed to finding Joan a new home and have been working hard to do so. But, again, her family said the properties she's been offered have been entirely unsuitable, so one of them didn't even have a kitchen, and another was in a crime hotspot that Joan would be very vulnerable to live in. There's another little twist to this. Joan has been deemed to have sufficient resources to find her own place following the sale of her previous home. And in a statement, Milton Keynes Council said if she doesn't want to live in any of the places they've offered, they'd be happy to find her somewhere in the private sector.
OK, well, so why doesn't she want to do that?
Well, according to her family, it's not quite that easy. They say they're not trying to get something for nothing here. They're quite happy to spend the money that Joan and themselves have got. In fact, they say they've lost count of the number of times the council has advised them to simply have a look on Rightmove. Joan's son, Dave, told me the £40,000 she'll get from her property isn't enough to buy anywhere else, and that hardly any bedsits are available. In fact, they haven't even got that money yet, so when she's due to be evicted tomorrow morning, they wouldn't have that money to just move her straight into somewhere else. They've also tried to find places at homes for elderly people in Willen and Shenley in Milton Keynes, but these are fully booked with waiting lists to boot. And sadly, they're unable to take Joan in either, as their home is across 4 stories. And as I say, all in all, it's a sad indictment of the housing situation in Milton Keynes, really.
Surely these homes, care homes and homes for elderly people, sheltered accommodation, they are fully booked, but you would assume that they would have put her name on that list, months ago as a kind of a backup plan.
Well, I assume that they would have put them perhaps 5 months ago, but from what I was told, certainly about the Shenley home, and I must admit I haven't checked this with the home themselves, but the family is saying that there's a 3-year waiting list there, so it's not a case of a couple of months.
Well, we're talking to the family later on, aren't we? So I can certainly put that point to them. What happens next? Tomorrow morning she's getting the boot, is she?
Yeah, come tomorrow morning, Joan will be evicted from Milton Keynes Hospital, and unless something very drastic happens in the next 24 hours, she's not going to have anywhere suitable to live.
Craig, thank you very much indeed. Which members of the family are we speaking to? It's the daughter and the son, is it? Is that?
It's her son, Dave, and her daughter-in-law, Pam, and there is a chance that Joan may be in herself, but that depends on various things this morning.
Craig, thank you very much. I look forward to speaking to them. 08459 455 555. It's an unusual one. What do you think? Have the hospital done enough? Well, she's been in the hospital for a few months, and it isn't really their job to find her somewhere to live, is it? It is more of the council's responsibility. Yep. So he lost his legs in the Vietnam War. She goes off to cop off with a load of blokes in bars, and he wants to shoot her, but he can't move. Good morning.
Call 08459 455 555.
Right, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Right. So, this morning, I put a sneaky little bid on 200 7-inch vinyl singles. Okay, 200. I won it. Oh, I won it. 30 quid including postage. 200 singles from the 1960s. How cool is that? Now, exactly. Here's the problem. Where am I going to hide them? My wife's going to kill me. She's going to be furious. When a big box appears... You saw me bidding on this, didn't you, Catherine?
Yeah, I also saw you selling your records.
Yeah, well...
To make room.
Yeah, I did sell a lot of records. It was mainly CDs.
Okay.
But I bought these 200...
At your wife's insistence, she wanted some space, so you sold.
Well, no, it wasn't her insistence, although it was initially her idea. 200 7-inch vinyls. I don't even know how much space that will take up.
About that much.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
They're all... I don't know what they are. They're all 60s. So there's going to be some corkers and some stinkers in there. I'm very excited. I'm going to play them on my dance set record player. I'm going to have discos. Me and the boys will have topless discos in the garage. It's kind of what boys do. Let's take our tops off.
Topless discos.
Hey, boys, let's take our tops off and play some old records, yeah? That's what dads and kids do. It's fun. I'd be lucky if they can keep their trousers on, those lads, the way they're going. Anyway, where am I going to hide them? This is the thing. I don't know where to hide these records because my wife, even though it only costs 30 quid, she will be... My wife's going to kill me.
She is going to kill you. I would normally say honesty is the best policy.
No.
Not in this case.
No.
Have you got a great big box with... and you can write something boring on it?
That's not a bad idea.
That's what I'd do if I was a bad person.
I could write records on it, because she would think that was really boring. Two things here, dear listener. We'll look at the papers in a second. Two things. Where can I hide my records? Because my wife's going to kill me. And secrets and lies. Secrets and lies from your partner. Let's do that this morning, please. What secrets and lies have you got? 08459 455 555. That's a Kinks song, of course. It's Village Green Preservation Society from the album of the same name. Some may call it a pantomime. And I love the King's version of that. I might dig that out this week. But I also like that Kate Rusby.
She's very good.
I don't know who she is. We've Googled her. We've Googled her. And she's from Barnsley. And she's the same age as me. And she's done songs.
She's very talented.
Beyond that, I don't know anything about her. But well done, Kate. I wish you the best of luck with your musical career. I really hope it goes in the direction you'd like to. 08459 455 555. Where on earth am I going to hide my records? And secrets and lies from your other half, please. Are you belching?
No, I really want to cough. I'll just go and... Hang on.
Sorry? If anything, that made it louder because it had the whole hallway to echo it. My boys...
Oh, dear.
I keep banging on about my boys. I'm so love my boys. I got to see them last night. I didn't think I would. And their new thing is, if they go in anything that's like a room, they'll go, echo! But then if it doesn't echo, what they do is they go... Echo!
Provide their own.
They make their own echo, both of them.
Oh, I love that.
It's fun. Right, Catherine Boyle, you've got a husband. You must lie to him all the time.
I don't... I don't lie.
Okay.
You just don't tell him the truth.
Is that how it works in your household?
That's how it works in most households, I think, if you were honest or dishonest. You know, the whole... Oh, is that a new frock? No, I've had it ages.
That genuinely happens, doesn't it?
It happens in my mum and dad's household, but I have control of my own money, so it happens less in mine.
You've got control of your...
Oh, no, it's like, it's like 2013 or something.
Oh, dear, why don't you run off with your girlfriend and go and get married in California or something?
She won't have me.
Oh, OK. What have you got in the papers, love?
Well, there's a lot of stuff about Nigella in here. Shocking claims in court. I think The Sun's front page is... habitual criminal Nigella, as if it's a fact, and actually it was taken from something the judge said, which was, the fact was that the judge said if these allegations are true, that would make her an habitual criminal.
I don't like these. Part of me likes these things being played out in public because we're human beings and we like gossip and salacious news. But the majority of me, I would say 53% of me, does. I think this is all very nasty and unfair.
This is nasty. This is like the Humes. Do you remember when they were clashing in court and all the other stuff came out? And you just think, hang on, there are children involved in this who are going to have to live knowing that their parents have done this to each other.
I have no sympathy for the Humes, of course, she took speeding points for him.
No, but there was a son involved in that as well, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah, there was.
You've got to keep some sort of relationship and remember that you're the grown-ups, I think.
Well,
easy to say when you're not in it.
Easy to say when you're not in it. I'm trying to find... There was a story I found in the newspaper. Oh, here we go. Oh, look. I feel sorry for hoarders. Do you remember Mr. Trebus?
I'm a bit of a hoarder.
Sorry?
I like keeping stuff.
What kind of stuff do you like keeping?
I've kept stuff that I didn't need to keep. Christmas... I can't get rid of cards.
Oh, I get rid of cards immediately.
Yeah, I should.
As soon as they come through the post, I put them in the bin.
Yeah, I've got, like, baby cards from when the children were...
Oh, forget that.
I've got all kinds of stuff. I've got tickets of things I've been to, and... but then I do habitually, after about 5 or 6 years, when it starts to gather dust and I'm fed up of, like, stashing it away and my drawers are bursting... I just dump the lot, and it feels quite refreshing. So, but I do accumulate stuff. Just
bear with me a second. So, when your drawers are bursting, you have a dump. Is that what you're saying?
I have a good clear out. Yes.
Okay, lovely. Good rummage. Well, I get rid of stuff, and I know that when I'm older, I'll regret it. I already regret getting rid of like all my old school books and school reports and stuff like that. But. Yeah.
It's good for your headspace, though, I think.
It's not as bad as this woman, Vivian Davis.
Well, no, I'm nowhere near that.
Hoarding is fashionable at the moment. And it's a form of mental illness, let's be honest. But it's been made trendy by lots of TV programmes. Mr. Trebus was the first. Facing eviction, hoarder. When I lived in a flat in North London, and very nice flat, actually, very nice. Anyway, the woman below me got locked. Old woman, never met her. She got locked out. And she kind of knocked and said, "I'm really sorry, I've been locked out, but the back window's open. Could you climb in and let me in?" I was like, "Yes, I would love to. I would love to."
Have a little shufty round.
A little shufty round. And I did. I climbed into her back house, and I wish I'd never seen it. Because there were rows and rows and rows of dollies, but like... not like teddy dollies, like dollies with face...
Babied.
Yeah, baby dollies. And just, I don't know, maybe 300, 400, 500 plastic bags full of things just everywhere. And I just felt, my heart broke. And I rushed upstairs and told my girlfriend, "You'd never believe what she's got in the house." It was sad.
Did it change the way you treated her in future, or did you still not talk to her?
No, I still didn't talk to her. 08459 455 555. What else you got?
The Monty Python reunion next year is such a sellout that 5 more show dates have been added, bringing the total to 10.
That's not fair, because I spent a fortune...
On rubbish seats. Why don't you just save your money and buy DVD where you can actually see everyone's mouth moving?
Because I want to feel the ambiance. That's French.
The ambiance will be
atmosphere.
Poor.
No, it'll be... Listen, it's going to be a disappointing night. I know it is. It's not going to be worth the £570 paid for 3 tickets.
Good grief.
Yes, but...
If someone drops out, I will come.
Oh, this is it. This is why you're trying to damn it. Because
if you drop out, I'll go.
You're not going to go with my wife and my father-in-law.
They'd have a better time.
That'd be a strange setup. They probably would have a better time. Yes, I wonder if those tickets are for sale. There is a devil cat. Page 33 of the Daily Mail.
Hang on, yesterday we had the Hitler cat, yes. Now there's a devil cat.
I think the Daily Mail has really got a real problem. They've moved from Romas to cats. Leave it out.
What the cat's done to you?
Imagine a Roma cat. Ugh. Beware of devil cat. Police called 5...
That was a joke, by the way, apparently.
You reckon? Police called 5 times to deal with Shiny, the Tom who's maiming villagers. Look at the bruises on that woman. Right, not being funny, if a cat did that to me, I would punch it in the face. I could punch that cat.
And you love cats.
I love cats. If a cat did that to me, I would get a knuckle sandwich and deliver it.
Why do cats do that, though? We had a cat around our way that was a little semi-feral, let's call it. It wasn't really allowed in the house. But it would come up to you, and it would be all purry and rubbing itself against your leg, and then all of a sudden... Yeah.
They do that.
And they kind of block, don't they? And you're shaking your leg, and it's, won't come off.
They're tough like that. Keep your drawers on. Neighbours say that Shiny is terrorising the area and have branded him Devil Cat. Police have been called 5 times over his violent behaviour, which has left locals and their pets in need of medical treatment. They want the 4-year-old cat to be put down. His owners, however, insist he's innocent, and the injured must have done something to provoke him.
What, breathing?
Yeah, what can you do? How do you provoke a cat? Well, you get a little bit of string, and that's the only way you can provoke it. Really? Dennis, you've called up too late.
No, I didn't.
So, Catherine, anything else?
No. Oh, hang on. Families have invited... Oh, here we go.
Go on.
It's us.
What's happened?
The Sun, page 7.
Yeah?
They're not going to mention us, but we gave them the story. Families have been invited on a weird walk to find the source of a cat wee smell blighting their town. Hang on,
hang on a second, that's us!
The mystery odour has drawn hundreds of complaints in Luton, Bedfordshire since 2011. We know, we told you this.
Dennis, this is our story!
Which Dennis are we talking to now? Dennis Luton or Dennis Dunstable?
Oh, the wrong one. Claire Richards of the Environment Agency said the stench could be coming from a river of excess paint at the local Vauxhall van factory. The agency served notices on the plant and inspected it 23 times, but the smell remains. Vauxhall has now invited locals to join officials on a walk to locate the source.
And us?
Yes.
Dennis, they're talking about us, they're not mentioning us. The Sun have stolen our souls.
Which Dennis are you talking to?
Not you. I can't believe the Sun have nicked our story. 6:46, it's Thursday, the 28th of November. I'm Iain Lee. The Sun have stolen our story. We'll talk about that and more after we get the latest weather with Sarah Thornton.
Imitation, as I must say, is the sincerest form of flattery, Iain.
How about stealing?
To be happy with.
How about stealing, though, Sarah?
I think you've made a big enough point that people know who did it first.
Ah, yes.
We're aware of that now.
Did you enjoy Doctor Who?
I loved it.
Wasn't it brilliant? It was brilliant. I loved it when the Tennant and the other one met and they put the glasses on. They both go, oh. And then when Tom Baker popped up at the end.
I know. My children loved it. We loved it.
Did they?
We had popcorn. There was a whole thing going on, a whole kind of Doctor Who fest.
How old are your kids?
7 and 9.
Oh, magical age.
Yeah, you're just getting right into it now, and now we're starting to talk about who's our favourite Doctor Who.
Excellent stuff.
Davison, yeah.
Sorry?
Peter Davison.
That is the incorrect answer, but it's close. He's in the top 3. Sarah, thank you very much indeed. Now, listen, I know, we're going to play a song. Now, I heard this song yesterday. I was driving up the M1, and I heard this song, and I thought, flipping it, this song is amazing. This song is amazing. Who, what, where has this song come from? Why has it not been part of my life before? Now, Kelly Betts, have you heard this song yet?
No.
Right, why are you really... Oh, yeah, that's why. It is, honestly, you saw it in the running order, you went, we're not playing that. And I went, whoa, stop there. We're going to play it, and it's going to be awesome. I'm not going to say who it is.
Okay.
Let's have a listen. Have you heard it, Catherine?
Yeah, I was really surprised that I liked it.
Right, let's have a listen. I'll tell you who
so
it is.
So it's a current song, is it? Is it a new...
I guess so, yeah. I guess...
Okay.
Have a listen and see what you think. Right, so, what did we think, team? I thoroughly enjoyed that. Look at you, Catherine, you muppet. Kelly Betts.
It was okay.
It was better than you thought it was going to be, wasn't it?
Kind of.
We did give it a big build-up. Maybe we should have done that.
Okay. It was Matt Cardle, he's an X Factor, is he?
Yeah.
Pop Idol. He's on Pop Idol.
Yeah, X Factor.
Pick me, Nigel.
Little fella, stubble.
If you see Sid, tell him. I like that. Also, saying that, I'm worried what's happening to me. Last week I was listening to Radio 3 and I heard what can only be described as jazz blues. I really liked it.
I like jazz blues.
No, this is proper jazz blues. It wasn't blooming R. Kelly. or Jay-Z. It's not jazz blues. That's not rhythm and blues, for goodness sakes. 08459 455 555 if you want to take part in the hilarity today. Now, here on this show, we operate on an open door policy, not literally. You can't just turn up and come in, but... if you've got a story you think we should be doing, then we love to hear them. So, when we heard that High Wycombe resident Elroy Ray was losing business because of a dirty great trench that had been dug up directly outside his Caribbean takeaway on Desborough Road, we thought we had to check this out. It's quite cold at the moment, though, so I decided not to go myself. I sent Sophie Solaria.
I'm one side of the trench. It looks like a trench. There's about 3 foot high rubble on the pavement. There's paving slabs and drain pipes strewn across the pavement. After that, you've got this deep river of water, which is going down by about 4 feet. I'm on one side of it, behind a barrier, and I can see a gentleman in the doorway of Cool Runnings Caribbean Takeaway on the other side. Hi, sir. You must be Elroy? we at present have got approximately 3 metres of rubble separating us. How, if I am a customer, am I going to get into your shop? See, I can't even hear you. That's how far you're away, but you're saying you won't get in. Let me try and negotiate this rubble to get to your side. Right, I'm going to go round to the left. No, there's definitely no way in here, because as you try and walk onto the rubble, you nearly fall into the pond. Sir, sorry, I just stopped you outside Cool Runnings, your favourite takeaway shop, I guess. When you first saw this mess, what did you think?
I don't know how a little person like me will
be able to get over the mess.
Exactly.
How are you going to get into the shop?
Well, I guess I'm not that old, so I guess I can hop, I can skip, I can, and he's a strong man, he can hold me. You know,
maybe he can lift you over. Okay, I'm trying to negotiate it for my right now. I'm going to climb it. I'll be careful, I'll climb it. Okay. Oh, it's lucky I'm fit and agile. Okay, we've now got... Careful when I step. Yeah. Okay, so now we've now got the river of water separating us, me and you, Elroy. I'm going to try and get into the shop now. That was no mean feat getting in here, was it?
No. Just pile of rubble. Nobody called us to say, well, then apologise for the inconvenience. They just came, put up the sign, and bugger off.
Elroy, I can't help but notice that your Caribbean takeaway is completely empty.
Completely empty, yeah.
Today. How popular is it usually?
Very popular. Very, very popular.
I'm having a look around. I'm right in here now, and really, I'm also greeted by 6 shelves of no food.
No food, no. Because we can't put out anything because there's nobody to sell it to. And we can't be selling people because of health and safety reason and food and hygiene reasons. This big pile that is in front of the shop, you can't do food there.
What is going on?
I don't know, to be honest. Actually, I came in Monday morning, 5 o'clock, cooked. When I came out to open 10 o'clock, and that's what I see because I entered through the back.
So it's worse than that. You're actually inside the shop.
Yes.
And you try to walk out of the shop, and the first thing that hits you as you walk out of the shop is a 4-foot puddle.
Yes. The thing is, it's just 100 centimetre from the doorway. There's a big hole.
It's not even 100 centimetres. It's on your doorway.
It's less than 100 centimetre. No word of warning, no letters, no notice, nothing at all. This is the busiest time of year for us.
I've just been greeted by a guy that came to get his food today.
Yeah.
He's not come in now. He's gone.
That's the 6th person that came here since I opened the shutter.
How much money do you think you've lost?
I'd say I lost roughly over $3,000 within the last 3 days.
£3,000?
Yeah.
How long is this expected to last?
They say 6 days. How am I going to cope for the next 6 days?
Now, it sounds like, what a little bit of fun, what a silly story. It's not. If you want to see the pictures, facebook.com/BBC3CR. We saw the pictures yesterday. We could not believe it. This poor fella who's lost about $3,000. Go and have a look at the pictures. Have your say. We did ring Southern Electric, and they sent us a statement. We asked you and Duncan to read it for us.
Safety is our number one priority at all times, both for our staff and our customers. The excavation in Desborough Road is to allow us to carry out essential repairs to our underground network following a recent power cut. And unfortunately, its location means that safe access to the restaurant isn't currently possible.
You kind of get the idea, don't you?
On the restaurant.
Oh, it's still going on. Let's just see how that statement's going.
Excavation in Desborough Road is to allow us to carry out...
Yep, still going on.
...to our underground network.
We'll get the rest of the statement a bit later on.
And unfortunately, its location means...
Yeah, we're only here until 9, though, so it might not be possible. Here's the news.
Realise that this is having an impact on the restaurant. In Desborough Road is to allow us to carry out essential repairs to our underground...
Yep, the statement's still going. We'll try and get to the end of it before the end of the show. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Lots on the show this morning. Most of the times when I say that, if I'm honest, I'm lying. I know I am. It's show business, isn't it? I'm like the gentleman outside the bearded lady tent in the olden days. Roll up, come and see the bearded lady. That will be you, Catherine. But today, it's true, we have got lots in the show. Lots. including Bedfordshire's got a lot to be proud of, hasn't it? Hasn't it? Well, it's got something new. It's officially home to Britain's drunkest driver. Some fella was 8 times over the limit. Stories like this get on my nerves. We need to introduce zero tolerance, don't we? A Milton Keynes pensioner is facing eviction from her hospital bed, partly because she's got nowhere to go, and partly because her family are turning down what the council's offering. Well, we'll speak to the family shortly and hear what they have to say. Also, Secrets and Lies. I've just spent 30 quid on 200 7-inch singles from the 1960s. I've not told my wife. When she finds out, she's going to kill me. I'm going to have to hide them somewhere and play them when she's out. She won't be listening to this either. What secrets and lies have you got from your partner? Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text, 81333. Start your text 3CR. Or you can give me a call, 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
And here's what that statement would sound like down a hole.
Carry out essential repairs to our underground network.
So, there you go. Saranjit's emailed in, talking about secrets and lies. This is a very complicated lie from his wife. He's had. You're right, Catherine? You wanted to...
She weaved a web of deceit.
Well, it's a gentleman.
Has he weaved a web of deceit?
Yeah, he has. It's quite a messy one.
Oh,
that's
dear.
the kettle you can hear boiling, by the way. Back in the day, when they used to sell those pens with a rubber on the other end, which allowed you to rub out what you may have written...
They didn't really, though. They just ripped your paper.
Yeah. I used to buy Valentine's and birthday cards and write using this pen and then give them to my wife. She would display them, as she does, and keep them in the loft, where sometimes I hide things I don't want her to find. I'm keen to know what that is. After a couple of years, I would go to her old card collection, rub out the old writing, and update the same cards with new messages. He then writes, lol. I never told her until recently. She was not impressed. And then there's like a little sad line at the end. I can't find that pen anymore.
It's in the 90s where it belongs.
Saranjit, thank you very much for that. Secrets and lies. What lies have you told to your partner, please? 08459 455 555. You can email as well, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. Now, Bedfordshire. We love Bedfordshire, don't we? It's a diverse, beautiful, vibrant county. Who's the king of beds these days? It's Joe. Is Joe the king of beds? Jack. Jay. Jay's the king of beds. Of course he is. Well, the king of Bedfordshire will be horrified to hear this is happening. It's the home to Britain's drunkest driver. Well done, guys. The person caught 8 times over the limit tops the national list released to coincide with the annual Christmas crackdown. Now, I would suggest that 8 times over the legal limit is the sign of a different kind of driver. But it does suggest that we need to keep on top of this all year round. I really think zero tolerance is the only surefire way. You have a tiny, tiny window of flexibility that would accommodate a boozy pudding or mouthwash or something like that. But that's it. You get caught having a drink, you don't drive. Well, Justin Dealey has been speaking to drivers in Hertfordshire. Morning, Justin.
Morning, Ian.
Justin, what have people been saying to you today?
Well, do you know what? Interesting enough, you're going to hear from some motorists later on. They're talking about zero tolerance. The majority actually agree with your views. You're about to hear from Michael in Redbourne right now. He's been caught drink driving twice.
Wow.
Here's what he had to say.
First time I was 19, yes, I was over the limit. I think then there was less cars on the road anyway. It was over the limit, but thought I could still drive. The second time, I thought I was unlucky, actually. There was a gap of 11 years, and that was in London then. Again, I'm not that far over the limit either. That's the annoying thing, but I think it's sharper now. I wouldn't drink and drive again, ever.
Let me ask you this. Did you feel guilty?
Not the first time, no. Second time, yes. That's been a change of attitude, I think, towards drink drivers as well. I'm not saying it was always a fun thing to drink and drive, but I think there was less, because there was less cars, and also we only ever drunk beer. Seems to me that the worst problem now is possibly not always alcohol, but maybe even drugs these days.
I mean, you mentioned that you'd never do it, so when you go out now, you don't even have one and drive?
Yes, I do have a pint after playing golf and then driving home.
But that's it, you go no further.
That's all you can have these days, 1 unit, I believe.
And we're talking today about how many chances drivers deserve. So, how many chances do you think nowadays a driver would be entitled to for drink driving?
One chance, and that's it. They should. Again, I was lucky. Perhaps I had a year's ban and only £100 fine. I believe now you can get a 3-year ban and maybe £200 or £300 fine as a minimum. So there are factors. So the higher the ban, I think is a good thing. That was as a deterrent factor, and obviously the cost of the fine.
Let me ask you finally about this man in Bedfordshire who's been caught. He was 8 times over the limit. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I think that's poor these days. 8 times over the limit. There's over the limit, and then there's over the limit, and then there's over the limit, and 8 times over the limit is a lot of times over the limit. And quite honestly, it would appear to me that anybody driving out of alcohol, they can't be in control of the car. I think also what I found out was that the reaction thing between when alcohol's in your system, and I know from first hand what it's like to brake with alcohol in your system because alcohol slows that system down. Therefore, if you're drinking and driving and you go to hit the brakes, it's going to take a lot longer for you to work out, or your brain to work out, to hit the brakes. Therefore, by that time, that's a second lost, too late. Accident occurs.
That fella's got me angry.
Yeah, I thought he might do.
There's over the limit, then there's over the limit, then there's over the limit. No, there's not. There's over the limit. That's it.
Well, it's interesting what Michael's saying there. He's been caught for drink driving twice now. I think his last offence was over 20 years ago. The roads, of course, were very different back then. He says he definitely won't do it again, but he still has that 1 pint of lager and then drives home from his golf club.
He was annoyed he got caught the second time because he was only just over the limit. Listen, it happened. What happens once, you lose your licence, that's it, game over.
When I've got no sympathy for anybody who goes to the pub, and Ian, I see this pretty much every single weekend. People still think it's acceptable to do it. They will go down the pub, drink lots of beer or wine, and then get behind the wheel of their car and drive home. They think that's acceptable, but I do have a bit of sympathy for the next day. Some people may have gone to the pub, had 3 or 4 pints of lager, they wake up the next morning, they're driving their car, they think they're absolutely fine, and they get pulled over and they are over the limit. I do have a bit of sympathy for those people, but certainly none whatsoever for anybody who thinks it's fine to get drunk and then drive their vehicle.
Justin, I want to talk to you a little bit later on about 7-inch records, please.
Oh, yes.
Speak to you later. I know you're my man on that. Thank you very much. Joined now by Jeanette Miller. She, the Association of Motor Offence Lawyers President and Managing Director of Jeffrey Miller Solicitors. Jeanette, clearly giving people leeway, it doesn't work for everyone. So why don't we just have a clear rule, you don't have a drink and you don't drive?
Well, Ian, I think that would be incredibly difficult to police, first of all. And then the point that Justin was just making about the morning after cases, I think it would catch a significant number of people who have had a drink the night before. They've waited, they think they're safe to drive the next day, but they still do have some alcohol in the system.
Tough. If they think they're safe to drive the next day, that still doesn't work now, does it? People can still be over the limit.
True,
now.
But the point that you're making, if it's zero tolerance, there may be people who are under currently the legal limit, but if they're supposed to have zero alcohol in their system, I think an awful lot of motorists would fall foul of a zero tolerance rule. That said, there are some countries that do have zero tolerance, particularly some quite creative situations. In Germany, for example, depending on the age of the driver, young drivers under the age of 21 are expected to have zero alcohol in their system. As with professional drivers, so if you're driving a bus or a lorry or something like that, then you also are expected to have zero alcohol in your system. I think that makes a lot of sense. But over here, there's a major problem with this one-size-fits-all, drink X number of units and you'll be fine. It just doesn't work like that. Everybody's biological makeup is different, and that has to be factored in.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You know, if you're a big 7-foot strapping fella, you hold your booze differently to a short, petite 5-foot woman, don't you?
Yeah, and I must say, I mean, I have friends who I cringe when I hear the way that they decide to drink and then drive next day or later that night, because somebody who is, as you say, a petite lady who has a large glass of wine but hasn't eaten all day could actually be over the limit. So that's part of the problem, the education side of things. I hear what you're saying about there being tougher penalties. The penalties are quite tough already.
What are the penalties?
At the moment, the minimum penalty for drink driving, and this is the mandatory minimum, doesn't matter how difficult your life is going to be without it, you will lose your licence for a 12-month period. That is the minimum. But if you're caught twice within 10 years, as with your chap earlier, then it's a 3-year minimum and a maximum £5,000 fine. Now, you could face that the maximum penalty is actually 6 months in prison. It's quite rare for somebody to get a prison sentence for drink driving these days. I suspect your 280 or 8 times the limit chap may well have ended up in prison. Right. I don't know.
Would it okay, if we can't agree on the zero tolerance, would it not make sense then to be stricter? If you get caught drink driving once, you get banned for a year. You get caught twice, that's it, you lose your licence, you can't drive again.
What about the chap who, first time round, just like the guy in the interview earlier, he's a young 19-year-old, I don't know what his level was then, but a bit foolish, made a mistake. Second time around, he says he was just over. I think that's part of the problem. I don't think penalty is the way to address this. I think education, and sadly, with all the budget cuts all over the place, education for drink driving has really taken a hit.
But Jeanette, we know it's bad. We know. What do we wait for? Do we wait for someone to go and knock someone over and kill them before we take their licence away?
No, it's horrific when that happens. But I think if you do not spend money on educating people, and people are still walking around saying, "Oh, you can have 1 unit, or you can have 2 units, and you'll be fine," that's the problem. Not making it tougher for those who fall foul of the law because of their ignorance.
But if we made it zero tolerance, then their ignorance wouldn't be a factor, would it? Because everyone would know the rules. You don't drink and drive.
I think we'd find that millions of drivers would be taken off the road, and that would have a massive impact on economy. That would criminalise a hell of a lot of people who still they haven't had the sufficient knowledge to be able to deal with a zero tolerance position, particularly when we've got actually the highest drink drive limit in Europe, I think. So we've already got a problem now, and we've got a problem with alcohol generally in this country, in my view.
Jeanette, thank you very much indeed. Jeanette Miller, the Association of Motor Offence Lawyers President and Managing Director of Jeffrey Miller Solicitors. Well, what do you think? I was being generous there as well. I said you get with first offence, you get a year's ban. Second offence, you get your licence taken off you. I think first offence, really, you get the whole licence taken off you. What do you think? 08459 455 555 716 BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now. 08459 455 555 if you want to take part in the show. You might want to have your say on this story. An 82-year-old woman has been served with an eviction notice, not from her home, but from her bed at Milton Keynes Hospital. Joan Parker was admitted after a fall in February. She's been there ever since, mostly because she's got nowhere to go. Well, she's got until tomorrow to vacate her bed at the hospital. Well, I'm joined this morning by Joan. Good morning, Joan.
Good morning.
Now, I know you've got a little bit of a problem with your throat.
Yes.
So you take it easy. If it gets too hard to talk, you give the others a nudge. We're also joined by her son, Dave. Morning, Dave.
Morning.
And daughter-in-law, Pam. Good morning to all of you. Thank you very much for coming in. Pam, can we start with you? I mean, how long has Joan been in the hospital for?
She's been in since February when she had a head injury.
Right.
There's obviously been lots of disputes about that, but that's not what we're here today to talk about. And since then, we've been trying to get her suitable accommodation.
Okay, so she had a flat, is that right?
She had a three bedroom house.
Yeah.
Of which now it was only a shared ownership.
Okay.
And now a lovely family has bought it, so they've benefited from it that are going in there.
And Joan, I was hearing that you were a bit scared to go back into that house. Is that right?
I was.
Why were you scared about that?
Because it reminded me of all the blood.
Yeah, because you had a nasty fall, didn't you? And so you were having nightmares about all the blood and all of that. Did you try... You went back to get some stuff?
Yes.
What was that like?
Terrible.
Yeah.
I couldn't place go in again.
No, of course not. So, Dave, how has this progressed? Joan has stayed in the hospital.
Yes.
If you just get a little bit closer to that microphone, I'll turn that. There we go. That's it. Thank you. Joan has stayed in the hospital. And what options are there for places to move to?
Well, it's very limited. I mean, we've been in contact with Milton Keynes Council. We've been in contact with some of the private sheltered housings. My mum wants to remain as independent as she can. She doesn't want to go into a care home. She wants sheltered housing. So been on the waiting list with the council. We've been there's 2 private ones in Milton Keynes, Willen and at Shenley, which both have very extensive waiting lists.
How long is that? Are those waiting lists?
I know the one at Shenley is 3 years.
Wow.
The one at Willen, we haven't got a definitive figure.
It's just when someone moves out or moves on.
Yeah. There's a couple of private ones or sheltered housings that are privately owned in Milton Keynes, but they don't belong to the council, I believe, but the places are still allocated by the council system.
Okay. So the council have offered some places, haven't they?
They offered,
to Joan.
They've offered 2 places and 1 additional possibility. One in a very high crime rate, which the Milton Keynes Hospital agreed she should not go to.
Right.
As she's obviously vulnerable, what's happened. And then a bed sit as well, additional bed sit in a different area. However, when we got there, it was a complete wreck. Nothing had happened in it. It was being refitted. And my mum, because of the nightmares, which obviously she has mostly at night, feels that she needs to get up, shut the door, move around, go make a cup of tea, watch some telly, listen to your radio station, and just needs really to have the ability of getting away, whereas obviously in a bed sit she can't.
Yeah.
It's literally a 1-room flat.
Who do you point the blame at in this situation?
I think currently, obviously, we're looking for Milton Keynes Council. I mean, we're at a point of crisis. Obviously, my mum is homeless as of Friday. We're just desperate. We have nowhere else to go. If there was somewhere available, we're on every waiting list we can be on. We're on the waiting list with the Guinness Trust as well. We rung Milton Keynes Housing Department yesterday. We left 9 or 10 messages.
Pam, you want to come in?
Yeah, I do, because they did make a statement. There's been lots of statements flying about now from all sorts of people how much help we're getting.
Yeah.
And that's why Joan has her own Facebook as well now, and over 300 supporters, some from Australia or Caribbean, everywhere supporting her. However, there was a statement said yesterday by the council to the Citizen, and I think you've got it as well, saying they are working very closely with this family.
Right.
Since the eviction notice on Friday, we have not spoken to one person from Milton Keynes Council. We left 9 messages yesterday on their answer machines. The Citizen then advised us to go through their main switchboard, which then says if you ask for housing, because you have to speak it, if you ask for housing, it says we're putting you through to housing repair now.
Okay.
So we've got
the statement here. This is from Milton Keynes. Let me just read bits of it. We know that Mrs. Parker has been through a difficult time. We've been working with the family to meet Mrs. Parker's housing needs. We remain committed to ensuring that Mrs. Parker has a new home to go to when she has to leave the hospital, and she will have a further similar selection of sheltered housing to choose from, including a formal offer made this week for a flat in Woburn Sands.
Well, they've not spoke to us. It's now Thursday.
Right.
So how do you expect an 82-year-old lady that all her stuff is in storage to actually move out of Milton Keynes Hospital on Friday and to get somebody to move us, if there's anyone out there that would like to help, somebody to move us into a place by Friday, because and we don't know legally what Milton Keynes Hospital can do. Do we then on Friday just suddenly, she's got nowhere to live, the housing is Thursday now, speak to us, somebody from housing.
Joan, how is all this making you feel?
Well, I did offer to buy a sleeping bag and sleep outside the hospital.
Listen, if you need to, you can keep on the floor here, love. Don't worry. We as long as we can hoover around you, you'll be fine. This must be making you quite anxious and upset, mustn't it? Yeah, it's going to be tough.
It's making me cross as well.
Yeah, I can tell. The statement goes on. If Mrs. Parker does not wish to live in any of the council shelter properties from the selection offered, she will have independent financial means from the sale of her own home, and we will be happy to assist her to find a suitable alternative in the private sector. Dave, what's your reaction to that?
What I would say to that is my mum's property that is currently going through the legal process of being sold as a shared ownership. My mum owns 30% of that property. So my mum doesn't own a property outright, and the funds that she will have at the end of that don't come anywhere near being able to purchase anywhere. You know, so we're just not in the same ballpark.
I'm going to put a question to you. This isn't coming from me, but I know some of our listeners will be thinking this. Why doesn't she live with you?
Because we live in a split-level house. We have more stairs, if anything, than her house at home. And the occupational health departments have said it's not suitable for her.
So what happens? What happens tomorrow?
That's a very good question. That's the question we've been asking all week.
You literally don't know.
We don't know.
Or
we literally don't know.
And how does a hospital... I mean, you'd agree, wouldn't you? The hospital is not the right place for her to be in.
We agree. I mean, you know, bearing in mind everything that's happened to my mum in Milton Keynes Hospital, believe me, that is the last place we want her to be. It really is. But, you know, we can all quote legal obligations. We can, you know, quote that we've fulfilled our legal obligations to my mum. But ultimately, surely to God, there's a moral obligation here as well.
Is there an option, and Dave or Pam, you can answer this, for a care home at all? And I can see that Joan is completely independent and she's a tough old so-and-so. You don't fancy a care home? Not at all.
I tell you what would happen.
Go on.
No way.
She actually got told off in Milton Keynes Hospital. But the viewers need to know that on Coffee Hall, she was a character there because for many years she's worked for Milton Keynes Council. That's the ironic thing. And she's looked after the elderly, and she was a sheltered housing there on Coffee Hall.
Yeah.
So in the hospital, actually, she has had a little tap on her hand because one day she started to help a patient get dressed.
Joan.
And she was told off for that, wasn't
Naughty Joan! Naughty!
Yes. So she feels she wants to live independent, and surely to give a lady, you know, Dave's dad fought for the war, he's a, you know, hero and everything of that, and then suddenly to know that this lady now is left on her own with cancer, can't talk, you know, the cancer, thank God, is fine now, but, you know, she can't talk for her, so she just wants a one-bedroom place where she can live happily in a sheltered housing so she feels other people around her.
I want to be able to cook.
Are you a good cook? What's your best dish, Joan? What do you like doing? Cakes?
She's going to put...
Listen, where are the cakes today, Joan? You've not brought any with you. What's going on? Listen, you said, Dave there said you like listening to Three Counties Radio. Can I ask, who's your favourite?
I like everyone.
Who's? I want a definitive answer, Joan.
Iain.
Do you prefer me or do you prefer JVS?
Well, I like you because you're lighter.
Exactly. JVS gets a bit bogged down, doesn't he? Joan, listen, I know it's an effort to come in this morning. I really appreciate it. Maybe we'll speak to you tomorrow or certainly next week to find out what happens. Dave, Pam, thank you very much indeed. Do keep in touch with us. Yeah. Hopefully, I wish you the best of luck that you get to a conclusion that's happy for everybody. Joan, I wish you lots of luck.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Next time you come in, I want a nice cake, please.
Get the council to speak to us.
Okay.
Please.
I'm sure they're listening, so thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555 if you want to have your say on that.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I do apologise, and yes, I left the fader open that time. I did leave the fader open that time. Sorry, Lee! Left the fader open. And also, I was strolling back down the hallway thinking, why has it gone all quiet? Oh, blimey, Jane's finished. I do apologise. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give me a call later on in the show. Right? But lies and secrets that you've told to your partner, please. Lies and secrets. Hang on a second. I'm getting lots of... hang on a second. Fibs, Iain, I can beat your listener with the recycle cards. Many years ago on St Valentine's, a national paper gave away a plastic rose. I bought the paper, threw it away and gave the wife the rose. She loved it. Oh, Bill, you're all so tight. Stephen is a liar and he lives in Bedford. Morning, Stephen.
Oh, I don't live in Bedford, I live in Letchworth. I work in Bedford.
You liar.
I lie about everything.
Exactly. Now, listen, the reason we're talking about this is I have spent... it seems a bargain to me, 30 quid for 200 7-inch vinyl records, all from the 60s, and I bought them on a whim... And now my wife's going to kill me. And I kind of I will bring some of them in, definitely. Yes, we'll play a selection from them. We'll do a whole show where we just play records from my collection. There we go. I can write it off for tax now. Wonderful. But I'm going to hide them. I'm going to hide them from my wife. What lies have you told, Stephen?
Oh, be a bit more careful than I was. This goes back about 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you remember them. They brought out the first Pokemon games, and they brought out a special limited edition Game Boy. It was a red one, and had the Pokemon thing on it. And at the time I was with this woman who wasn't the mother of my son, because he lived at home with his mother. And so he wanted this, and she didn't want me to get it because she didn't want me to spend that sort of money on a present for him. So I thought, well, I'm going to get it for him. So what I did, I went and bought it.
Yeah.
I went to sort of mate as a postman. You know, those letters they put for your door saying, "Oh, we missed you."
Oh, yeah.
I got one, I filled it out, and as I come in the door, I just slipped it in the letterbox, and then when I come in, I went, "Oh, look, what's this? Oh, look, I've won a prize at town."
Yeah.
So I went uptown, and got it for him, and he was all happy. And
So you bought a present, got to catch them all, you bought a present that your wife wouldn't have approved of, and you pretended that you'd won a competition.
It was a partner, and she's a whole woman. Anyway, it's a different
There's a whole different story. Stephen, thank you very much indeed. Lies you have told to your partners, please. We all do it. 81333. Start your text 3CR. Getting in some texts and emails on Joan, who we just had in. Joan, 82-year-old woman. She's been living in Milton Keynes Hospital since February. She's going to be evicted tomorrow. Well, let me read these, and you make of these as you want. You can have your comment on these. Len in Milton Keynes says, homeless mum, but her son hasn't offered to have her live with him. They are playing the game to try and get a place for free. Why isn't her son helping her move as well? I bet they have more interviews and PR arranged today. Cold and cynical? Or fair? 08459 455 555. I've got a couple of emails as well. Ian Murphy sent 2 in. That old lady should go and live with her son. Sounds like they don't want the hassle, selfish sods. He then sent another one in. Let's hold the council to ransom, put her in a home. It's a tough one, isn't it? It really is a tough one. Slightly different situation. My mum's in a home. She's not very well. And my sister and I had to make the decision to put her in a home. I looked at every other option, including me moving back in with her coming to live with me, converting her house so everything was... Couldn't do it. Her living with me would have been impossible. Does that make me a bad son? Because I chose to put her in a home rather than have her come and live with me? It's not always that easy, Ian. 08459 455 555. It's a tough situation, isn't it? I'm so glad I don't have to make that decision or be part of that decision-making process. On the subject of the Cool Runnings, the restaurant, the Caribbean restaurant in Wickham, go and have a look at the pictures on Facebook. It's had a huge trench dug out the front. It's incredible. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. Well, Scott de Raisin doesn't agree. He says it's not that bad. Scott, a little bit harsh, I think, sir. Jules says it's disgusting. What happened to health and safety? William, hope he's got a good solicitor. Carolyn says, what a ridiculous thing to do. How could the electricity people think it was OK to leave it like it? It is an amazing trench. It's not even an electricity problem in Elroy's restaurant. It's the bloke next door. They've dug up the entire road. 08459 455 555. They usually put a metal bridge thing across or something. Has that not been done? He should get compensation for loss of earnings. Or is this story not all it seems? Are we seeing selected pictures from certain points in time? Gary, good for you. Good for you for questioning the information you're being presented with. That's what we should all be doing. Well done. And Lee says compensation and a public apology is in order ASAP. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call on that. We're also this morning talking about drink driving. I'm really of the mind, and it's slightly problematic, but it's not too problematic that we couldn't work around it if we put our minds to it. I do believe zero tolerance policy on drink driving. That way nobody's confused. Because if you know you're not supposed to have a drink, then you know what the limit is. 08459 455 555. You would have to have a small... I don't know what the percentage is at the moment. I don't know what the figures are. There would have to be a very small amount of leeway to accommodate things like mouthwash with alcohol in, or desserts with booze in. But that would be it. Lots of you having your say on Facebook here. Jules says, I agree, no alcohol to drive. Drake says, realistically, a little allowance, as alcohol can be present in your body for some time. But I agree, if you go out and you're driving, just don't drink. Now, Iain, where am I on that online ambassador? Oh, it makes a good point, an online ambassador. I hadn't thought of that. We are giving away, this is an ongoing campaign, we are giving away ambassadorships for towns and villages within Beds, Hearts and Bucks, and also kingships and queenships if you want to take part. Catherine, you've
got a text in from the King of Bedfordshire.
Oh, have I? What's he
not
had to say?
available to speak in person. He has engagements.
Okay, well, it's...
This is from Jay. Shall I read it to you?
Yes, please.
Hello all, King of Bedfordshire here.
Well done,
no
good morning.
chances on drink
hang
drive.
on. We have to stand up, don't we, when we're...
Can we play the thing?
Yeah, I'm getting the thing. I have to get in the thing. Right, so hang on a second. Oh, dearie me. Right, OK, so let's have this.
I imagine it's got something to do with grot bags.
Wrong button.
Put that ruddy thing away.
Wrong button.
I do.
No.
This is Jonathan Brennan Smith. Call me at 9 o'clock to discuss.
Are you serious?
No.
I'm now in the...
Hang on.
Having
hang on.
Put that ruddy thing away.
There it is. Got it. Right, go. Do it while the fanfare's playing, others will be here for ages. And salute.
Greetings, minions. King of Bedfordshire here. No chances on drink drive. Is this how I imagine he speaks? No chances on drink drive is what I want to happen. And also, just to let you know, well done to the Ford driver changing his tyre on the busway. Yes, another car on the busway. What a plonker. Good show this morning from King
Thank
Jay.
you, Your Majesty. Well done. Well done. Can we need to get... This busway thing is great, because this is happening pretty much every day. Someone driving down the busway or changing their tyres. We need to get some pictures of this. We want a photo montage of this.
Maybe we should send Justin there for the whole morning to monitor what really goes on the busway, behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes of the Luton busway. Let's do that. Now, if you don't know these kingships, queenships and these ambassadorships, we are giving them out. The ambassadorships, they stay for a year, OK? Then you have to be re-elected. The king or queenships, there can be... you can oust the existing king or queen if you so want. Kelly Betts has got the full list of ambassadorships, so we'll read that out in a second. If you do want one, you have to phone up and claim it. 08459 455 555. We will not take email or Facebook applications, because it would just imply to me that you're not fully dedicated to the cause, OK? If you can't be bothered to make the phone call, then really, how will you be serving your people? And we will at some point be asking you to serve your people. We might get you to stand outside like Lidl or something while people come and give you their problems, or you stamp documents. I don't quite know. We haven't really thought this through properly, have we, Catherine? It's kind of happening as a spontaneous...
Yeah, I like the way it's flowing.
It's flowing, isn't it?
It's flowing uncontrollably.
We've got a caller coming in on drink driving. We'll do that in a second. Kelly, can we get the list of ambassadors?
Yeah, one...
I've got it, I can see it.
Go on, you read it out, go on.
Jay the bus driver is King of Bedfordshire.
Well done.
Colin is the ambassador of Dunstable. Yeah. I wonder if Derek's had his papers done.
Well, he needs to, otherwise he's out.
Joyce, we gave an honorary ladyship. I'm not sure where of. Dunstable, that was Dunstable, wasn't it?
Yep.
And Paul is the ambassador of Leighton Buzzard. Do you remember him? He's the one who was inside and started writing to his now wife as pen friend.
Oh, yeah, he was good. He's got a criminal record, and that shows that we're not prejudiced here.
And we've got the question mark over Luann.
Well, hang on a minute. Luann wanted to be... What did she want to be?
She wanted to be the ambassador for Amptill.
Right, OK, and she had to...
problems.
She had to abort the phone call, 'cause she had to take her kids to school.
What a cop-out.
She said, I'll phone back tomorrow. That was yesterday. Where is she? Où est Luann? Luann sans... La radio.
I tell you where she probably is. Flitwick, and this is my problem.
Go on.
She's not from Amptill.
What?
Yes.
Oh.
She has history there. Her parents are from Amptill. I think she was born there.
No.
Doesn't work that way.
Well, no, we're not having any of this. Oh, for goodness sakes. Talking about this, Joe's in Letchworth. Morning, Joe.
Morning, Ian. How are you?
Oh, there was a cough there. We'll have that for the cough montage. Thank you very much. I'm good, thank you, Joe. What can I do for you?
One would like to be anointed the King of Hearts.
Oh, what a great title when you say it like that.
I would like to have Lady Catherine as my queen.
Whoa, hang on a second. It's getting mucky.
Is that just because my skirt blew up? I know it works for the Duchess of Cambridge, but it doesn't wash with me, Joe.
Oh, well.
What? Listen, you cut hands off Catherine. She's independent. You can't have any of that, except at weekends. But what makes you think you'd be good as the king, Joe?
I think I have all the attributes to lead one's people. through good times and bad.
Fair enough, he's proper posh.
He's got it. He's got the gig. What is it? So we need... It's the King or Queen of Bucks we're looking for now, isn't it? I think that's the last
we
one.
We need a queen, actually. We've got two
we haven't
kings.
got Queen of Beds.
What?
We haven't got a queen.
No, that's up to them to find their own partners. We've got the king. We've got the king. We need the Queen of Bucks or a king of Bucks. And then Joe? At some point,
it's a cough there. Thanks.
Thank you. Then there's one. Joe. At some point,
yes.
I'm not. I don't want to. Condone violence or anything. But at some point, if you wanted to declare war on the King of Beds, you'd be more than able to do that within the rules.
I don't think a king of sound mind and judgment would do such a thing unless he was forced.
Unless he was forced.
Am I putting Joe on the list?
Joe is the King of Hearts.
All right.
Fantastic. This could get nasty. Wars will be declared. John, stay there. We'll talk to you in a second. I know you want to make a serious point about drink driving, and I think it deserves a little bit more time than I'd be able to give you. So we'll come to you after the travel and the news. It's 7:45. Right, let's get the latest weather. Here's Sarah.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
She's not there, is she?
Failed.
Hang on a second. Oh dear, it's all gone pear-shaped. Luckily Melvin Bragg isn't listening to moan up and bang on about this.
He'll be on.
He will be. He's not been able to find any...
Oh, I can see the weather on the telly.
Oh, go on.
Friday, cold and windy, weekend mostly dry, sunny spells.
Thanks very much.
Is our number one priority at all times, both repairs to our underground network, following a recent power cut. And unfortunately, its location means that...
That's the statement regarding this story. We started playing that statement an hour ago, being read by Ewan Duncan there, the statement from Southern Electric. It's still being played.
To satisfaction.
Well, let's get to the story, shall we? Here at the Iain Lee Breakfast Show, we operate on an open-door policy, not literally. You're right, let me do John first. I do apologise, John. I kept you waiting for so long, and I won't keep you waiting any longer. Drink driving.
Yes, how you doing, sir?
What would you like to say?
Well, when I first came to this country about 7 years ago, as an American, it was just...
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, I know, exactly. It was just quite alien. The fact that my colleagues, on my first day, they said, we got to celebrate, let's get down to the pub. And in my head, I thought, look, that's a bar. And... it is, technically, but they serve food, great food, a lot better than American bars. And we went down, and a few of them ordered a pint or two, and they just thought it was normal. And then we hopped back in the car, and everything in my body thought, why the heck am I getting into a car with somebody who's just drunk alcohol? But after working there for 3 years or so, it was almost seen as a drink. You're going to go and have a cheeky drink with your burger at lunch, and it was... I never partook because I just thought it was strange.
But they do it in the States, and I've seen people have a beer then hop in a car.
You do, but it's not as... People do find it strange. It's not as readily acceptable as here. It's not.
What do you think, John? I do think it's slightly flawed, and there would need to be a lot of work done on it, but zero tolerance. If you're having a drink, you don't drive a car. Simple.
I completely agree with that. There's no need for it. It's like, there's a need for water. Everybody needs to stay hydrated. But you do not need to drink alcohol.
You have just said the obvious thing that I have been struggling to come up with. Thank you. There is no need to have a drink. There is no need to have that beer or have that glass of wine. You don't need to.
You don't need to. Your company is your enjoyment. You make the evening however you want to make it. There is no need, really, for the consumption of alcohol, especially when you're going to hop behind a motor vehicle.
John, thank you very much indeed. That's what I've been struggling to think of all morning, and John has expressed it wonderfully. This whole thing about we can't have zero tolerance. What about the person who wants a glass of wine? Well, hang on a second. You don't need to have that glass of wine. You don't need it. You don't need to have that beer. It doesn't ruin an evening. 08459 455 555. Right, back to the story we were talking about there. Well, I love it when you give your stories to me, and we've had so many great stories over the past couple of months that have come from you. You've sent me an email, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk, or you've phoned up the radio station, or you've texted in, and we've looked and dug a little bit further and found a cracking story. This is no exception. We heard that High Wycombe resident Elroy Ray was losing business because of a dirty grate trench that had been dug up directly outside his Caribbean takeaway service. Well, we thought we had to have a look at this. Now, Sophie Solera is our trench and Caribbean food correspondent, so this seemed like the ideal story for her. We sent her out.
I'm one side of the trench. It looks like a trench. There's about 3 foot high rubble on the pavement. There's paving slabs and drain pipes strewn across the pavement. After that, you've got this deep river of water, which is going down by about 4 feet. I'm on one side of it, behind a barrier, and I can see a gentleman in the doorway of Cool Runnings Caribbean Takeaway on the other side. Hi, sir. You must be Elroy? We at present have got approximately 3 metres of rubble separating us. How, if I am a customer, am I going to get into your shop? See, I can't even hear you. That's how far you're away, but you're saying you won't get in.
Excellent work there, Sophie. I'm hoping we can hear Elroy Ray a little bit better now, because I believe he's on the telephone. Good morning, Elroy.
Good morning, Ian.
So, tell us what happened. When did you realise there was a massive, great hole outside your restaurant?
When I came in Monday morning, but I don't walk to the front of the shop. I came to the back. So after I finished preparing and went outside now to open the shop, that's when I realised that there's a big, massive hole.
And we've got the pictures on the Facebook page, facebook.com/BBC3CR. Describe what you saw and how you felt.
I was devastated, to be honest. The thing is, this is the busiest time for us. This is the busiest time for us at any time for the year. We do cakes, functions. No, I can't do that because I can't open the shop.
How long's it been there so far, Elroy?
Since when I spoke to Southern Electric, they told me that they came in about 3-4 o'clock in the morning to dig it up.
Oh, wow, okay, right.
So I said to them, why is it that there's not a notice through my door stating the reason for doing this? They're saying that, oh, it's an emergency work, they don't need to send out anything. So I said, that's unacceptable. So why am I supposed to tell my customers now?
Well, first of all, listen, normally when there is bits of road dug up, there is a courtesy note that comes through the door maybe a week, 2 weeks before that says, look, just to let you know, we're going to be doing this work. If it was an emergency, as they say, well, they still should have posted something through the door to say, look, this is what's happening, here's a phone number, you can call this phone number and you can discuss it with our team. You're saying there was nothing like that?
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. And up till this blessed day, I haven't got a call to apologise for any sort of inconvenience. I have to be tracing them up, and I keep on getting the runaround. As you can see, the pictures that I've sent to you, all I did was send guys out to take pictures. But the thing that I can't actually understand, the problem is not in front of my shop, it's the actual next door. But yet still, Southern Electric have sought out walkway that they can actually trade. And I'm closed down. I'm the only person that is closed.
So have they not offered you like a little bridge or anything like that, a drawbridge?
Nothing at all.
And this is affecting your business, isn't it?
It is affecting my business, yes.
No one can get in. You've lost money, haven't you? How much do you reckon you're losing?
At this point in time, it's going into £4,000.
Just what you need in the run-up to Christmas, isn't it?
This is the busiest time for us.
Yeah. This must be worrying you. Have they told you how long it's going to take?
They haven't told me how long it's going to take, but they got a notice outside stating that it's going to carry on for 6 days. I even notified the council and said, look, this is unacceptable. Why is it that my shop is blocked off? The council says it has nothing to do with them. All Southern Electric did was send them in something for permission to dig up the sidewalk.
The thing is, Elroy, if you went out to the front of the Southern Electric offices and set up a little stall selling your Caribbean food, and it prevented them from getting in and out of their office,
they would have me removed straight away.
Wouldn't they just?
Yes.
Wouldn't they just? And yet they come and do this to you. Well, I mean, I don't quite know what we can do. I suggest you get back in touch with the council again, Elroy, and really try and, you know...
When I spoke to them, they said they have no control over it. All they did was grant them the permission to...
It's their pavement! It's their pavement! Of course they've got control over it! Well, I'm getting angry on your behalf now. Blimey! I can imagine what this is doing to you. Right, listen. Let's give the restaurant a big plug, okay? So that people know where it is, and once they can get in there, they come down and buy lots of food. So tell us exactly where it is.
It's 160 Desborough Road, just right beside Coral Betting Shop.
And what's your speciality, Elroy?
Jerk chicken and rice.
There you go, you see, of course. Listen, fantastic. Elroy, I tell you what we'll do. I mean, there's not a lot we can do, but as soon as that pavement is cleared up and is fixed, let us know, and we'll give you a big mention on the show, OK?
OK.
Elroy, thank you very much indeed. I mean, I'm getting angry at this. The council saying it's nothing to do with us. Well, hang on, you're the council, it's your pavement, you gave them permission. This fella needs compensation. It totally needs compensation. Go and have a look. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. We did try and get Southern Electric onto the show to explain things.
Safety is our number one priority.
Yeah, they wouldn't. They sent us this statement.
Staff and our customers. The excavation in Desborough Road is to allow us to carry out essential repairs.
It goes on and on and on.
A recent power cut. And unfortunately, its location means that safe access to the restaurant isn't currently possible.
It just goes on and on. Unfortunately, it means safe access to the restaurant isn't possible. That's not good enough. That really isn't good enough, is it? 08459 455 555. Go and look at Facebook as well. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. Mark says on the plus side, best free advertising this fella's ever had. Well, yeah, if he's $3 or $4 grand down though. Gary says they usually put a metal bridge or something. Compensation, says Marion. If he can prove that his takings have been affected, he can make a claim against them for the deficit. Compensation and a public apology, says Lee. And Steve says must be English workmen. If they were Polish, it would be finished by now. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call on that. If you've got a story that you'd like us to talk about. As I say, it can be a huge thing that affects the entire country, the county, or it can be a thing that just affects you. This fella's shop is having to stay shut because people can't... I'm looking at the pictures now. It's a massive, deep trench. If you've got a story that you think we should be doing, either on this show or BBC Three Counties in general, do drop us a line. You can, of course, call us, 08459 455 555. If you want to get in touch with me directly, then send me an email, Iain.lee. I spell Iain the proper way, I-A-I-N. There's the bonus I. IAIN.LEE@bbc.co.uk. Even if you think, maybe they won't be interested in that, let us be the judges of that. And lots of times I've had stories that have been sent to us that haven't been right for this show, but they have been right for other shows. I sent one to Chetan a couple of weeks ago. I've sent a couple of things to Nick Coffer in the past. So they will get seen by people who can possibly help and make a difference. Morning, this is Iain Lee. I've just been sent an incredible picture from John, thank you John, of a car that's been crushed on the on the Luton to Dunstable busway. There's a story in this. We need to look into this. We're hearing that at least once a day a car or another vehicle is driving down the busway. And this picture from John is just amazing. We'll look into that. There's a story there, don't you worry. As for today, lots of stuff to talk about, including Bedfordshire's got a new world record holder. Yes! It's home to Britain's drunkest driver, 8 times over the limit. Isn't it time we just had a zero-tolerance policy on drink driving now? A Milton Keynes pensioner is facing eviction from her hospital bed. It's partly because she has nowhere to go, and partly because her family are turning down what the council's offering. A lot of you saying she should move in with the family. It's not always possible. And Secrets and Lies. I've just bought 200 vinyl 7-inch records, 30 quid. Beautiful. Haven't told my wife. She's going to murder me. What secrets and lies have you kept from your partner? Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text, 81333. Start your text 3CR. Or you can give me a call, 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Bedfordshire, famous for a number of things. John Bunyan, Luton Town, Clangers, the pastry kind, and now Britain's drunkest driver. Britain's drunkest driver. Don't have that person's name, but I hope they are hanging their head in shame, not wearing it like a badge of merit. According to the latest police authority figures, Beds caught someone driving 8 times over the legal limit. I would have thought 8 times over the legal limit would mean you are dead. And I do think, surely we need to toughen up on drink driving all year round. One death because of it is too many. Zero tolerance. It's got to be the way forward. Justin, I know it would be hard to enforce, but there are ways around that. You'd have a very, very slight kind of leeway for people who had a boozy pudding or a mouthwash, but basically, if you have a drink, you don't sit behind the driving wheel in a car. Simple.
I hear exactly what you're saying. That night, I think the major problem, of course, Ian, is going to be the next morning. If you've had 3 or 4 pints the night before and you've got a taxi home, you've done the right thing, and then you go to drive the next morning, you could potentially be over the limit, even though you think you're not. So I just think it will be very, very hard to police. But I have been talking to motorists this morning. The majority do agree with you. Here's what they had to say. Caroline, what do you think? Should we not even be allowed one drink?
I don't think so, I'll be honest. I think there should be zero tolerance. Because you never know who steps out in front of you, and your response time might be as quick as it should be.
And what about yourself? Do you not even have one and drive?
No, never.
And what's your thoughts on those people who go to the pub and get in their car and drive home, despite how many drinks they've had?
It's very stupid. I mean, you never, as I said, you don't know who's on the road, you don't know what's going to step out in front of you, and it's stupid. Why train all that time to get a licence and then do that? You know, it's really silly.
No. I think mainly it's getting to work in the morning, that if somebody's had maybe a little bit too much the night before, they would never be sure whether they were quite safe to drive in the morning. So what do you do?
So by going zero tolerance, it would effectively just create a mess and confusion?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Especially Christmas. Coming into Christmas, there'd be people that probably would never drink normally, and they'd probably go to the Christmas party and probably have to go somewhere to meet relatives in the morning. Yeah, it's a little bit unfair on them.
I suppose so, in an ideal world, but how many people would really stick to that? I don't know.
Morning, sir. What's your thoughts on this? Should we have a zero tolerance in this country? Not even one drink?
Not even one drink. It affects your responsibility, yeah, because you don't know, what's your mental level on that time. Maybe you are happy and you drive so much fast, you can't control your car. That's the thing.
Well, he makes a good point, the fella at the end. I just do think, if you've had a drink, you don't drive. And if we need to, maybe everyone should have their own little portable breathalyzer so you can test yourself the next morning.
But then again, how accurate are they going to be? Because they're not going to be 100% accurate, are they? I'm going to tell you one thing right now, Ian, which I think will shock you. I know somebody in the last year who was caught for drink driving. They got a 6-month ban, I believe. Now, they were worried about going back onto the roads and insurance. They were worried their premium would go through the roof. As it turns out, they shopped around and their insurance was pretty much half the price of what they paid before.
What?
Yes.
Justin, thank you very much indeed. And Justin, I remind me, before 9 o'clock, I want to speak to you about records.
Yes.
Thank you very much. 08459 455 555. Andrew Missell is from Alcohol Concern. Good morning, Andrew.
Morning.
Zero tolerance. What do you reckon?
Well, we have called. In fact, we called earlier this week for dropping the drink-drive limit in this country. It's a bit complicated, but drink-drive limits are generally described in terms of milligrams of alcohol per 100 millilitres. The limit in this country is 80. They have the same limit in the United States, but that is unusually high. Most of Europe is around 50. Some countries set it at 20, and some do actually set it at 0. There's a slight problem there, which I think has been hinted at earlier on, in that an absolute zero limit means that you could catch someone who just happened to have some alcohol in some food or
You
something.
need a little buffer, don't you? A very slight little buffer that could compensate for alcohol in food or a mouthwash or something like that.
I think you do. I don't know what they do in these countries. There's mostly places in Eastern Europe they've got a zero limit. But I think whatever the blood alcohol limit is set at, and we've advocated dropping it down from 80 to 50, which is what's common in the rest of Europe. But I think whatever the limit is, the only sensible message really is just don't have a drink if you're planning on getting in your car, certainly in the next few hours.
What does 80... I don't drink anymore. What does 80 mean and what does 50 mean in real terms? How many pints or glasses of wine is that?
It's difficult. The figure that's thrown around is that the 80 milligram limit means that an average-sized man could have 2 pints of beer and still drive legally. Now, we know from research and surveys that there are a certain percentage of people out there who try to drink up to the limit. But I would certainly say I wouldn't want to drink after 1 pint. And I think any of your listeners, if you think about it, the state you're in, after 2 pints of beer or 2 glasses of wine, you're not in a fit state to drive.
Well, Andrew, you say that. There will be people listening, and I'm sure they're picking up their phones and dialing now, saying, well, hang on a second, Andrew, you might not be able to handle 2 pints, but after 2 pints, I drive not only as well as normal, some people even say they drive better after 2 pints.
Oh, I love these super confident drivers. I mean, this is the thing about alcohol. It's a bit like if you've ever seen someone trying to play guitar at a party. You know, they have a few drinks and suddenly they think they're Jimi Hendrix. The thing about alcohol is it produces 2 effects. A sedative effect, so it makes you sleepy, makes you less coordinated. But on the other hand, it increases your sense of happiness and confidence. So whilst being less able to do the job in hand, you feel that suddenly you're some kind of expert. So whilst you might think that you're driving along very safely, anyone watching you from the outside could clearly see that you're not.
We've got a tweet here from the Quadrant, who do enjoy tweeting me and winding me up. The Quadrant say, what Iain Lee has overlooked with his campaign is drivers might unfairly fail a breath test if they'd had a skimful the night before. Well, no, they wouldn't unfairly fail their breath test. They'd fail it fairly.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, there's an interesting piece of research out today, I think, by one of the insurance companies, and they came up with a rather neat figure that if you had, I think, 6 glasses of wine and you started driving 10 hours after that, you'd still have another 5 hours before you were actually safe to drive. Now, obviously, that's a little bit finger in the air, but if you think about it, there are 10 units in a bottle of wine, 10 units of alcohol in a bottle of wine, roughly. Your body can only process 1 unit an hour, so you are not, from the time when you start drinking that bottle of wine, you are not going to be sober until 10 hours afterwards. Now, you think about it, if you're having a bit of a session, maybe out with your mates or in the house, you finish around midnight, you've got to get up at 7 or 8 and go to work. You're still drunk. You might feel refreshed because you've woken up, had a shower and a cup of coffee, but you're still drunk, and certainly too drunk to be on the road.
Andrew, I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you. Andrew Mizzle from Alcohol Concern, 08459 455 555. I'm not saying don't drink. Drink as much as you want. Just don't get into a car and drive it. John's in Luton. It makes sense, doesn't it, John?
No, it doesn't, actually, boss.
Oh, go on.
Well, yesterday it was smoking, again, now today it's drinking, right.
No, yesterday I was saying that people should be allowed to smoke, so...
Yeah, OK, but the thing is, you go into any shop...
Yes.
Now, it's all covered over, you can't see the cigarettes that you want to purchase.
John, with the greatest respect, we were talking... And by the way, it's just been announced that David Cameron is going to introduce plain packaging on cigarettes, which I think is a great idea. Well, but cigarettes were yesterday, John. We're talking about alcohol today.
Yeah, right, that's what I'm coming up to. But yesterday, on cigarettes... It's all covered over now. It's against the law to show cigarettes. So, right, let's do it with the alcohol, the spirits. Right. Let's all cover it up, and you can only be served by a certain person. You can't
Who's that person? What's their name?
No, a person, a till. You can only be served... like cigarettes.
You've not thought this through, have you, John?
I have.
Okay.
Yes, I have, because it's getting on my nerves regarding like cigarettes being covered up.
We're not talking about cigarettes,
John. But you go into Tesco's in Dunstable,
yes.
All the drinks are right in front of you, and it gives you encouragement to go in there, we'll get 4 big cases of these. Yeah, drink. Yes. They didn't give a 2 hoots about getting into a car, going along the road, tipsy.
Can we just say, right, Tesco's are not in any way encouraging drink driving. Let's just make that clear.
They are, because they are.
They're not, John.
They're right in front of the doorway.
John, for legal reasons, to cover my backside and to cover your backside, I have to say this. Tesco, it is ridiculous to imply that Tesco are encouraging drink driving. They're not. No, they're encouraging people to buy drinks. Of course they are. That is their business. And you wouldn't begrudge them that, would you?
Well, if it's going to do damage or injury to somebody else, cover up the drinks, so it doesn't encourage people to go in and get a can of beer or a bottle of wine to go and drink, then drive.
But I think we're almost on the same side here. You just haven't realised it yet. You're against drink driving.
Totally.
So a 0 limit. So if someone has small glass of red wine, they're not allowed to drive.
No, they shouldn't.
John, excellent point, badly made. Good morning, JVS.
Hello there.
We're just sorting out my career. Thank you very much indeed for the advice. It's always gratefully appreciated.
Look at you in your black shirt.
Yeah, I've got my jersey with me again.
Like the milk tray man.
Hey, we've got grey jumpers, look.
Yeah, we have. Look at us. We're
the Grey Jumper Gang.
We are matching.
Hey, I've heard rumours that we're doing another Christmas.
I've heard rumours as well that we're doing
festive
this.
face-off.
A festive face-off like last year.
Well, you say last year. Last year, of course, we had the excellent producer Laura, who's since left to have a baby. This year, we've got blooming breathy, heavy hands over there.
Oh, gosh.
Catherine Boyle is
Lucky boys.
Does she know how much controlling we took last year?
It was a little bit. It was a little bit.
It
yes.
was a bit.
We had poppers in the studio.
What?
We had poppers in the studio.
Listen, that will not be happening on my watch.
We did, didn't we? We had great fun.
We did,
you brought some
yes.
poppers. We were sharing each other's poppers.
Oh right. Yeah.
It was lots. It was like it got once the poppers came out, it got a little bit raucous, didn't it?
It did. Yes.
Didn't it? Kelly Betts.
You had a potato gun as well.
We had poppers and guns.
Listen, there'll be no missiles this year.
And JVS bought his keyboard.
I did bring my keyboard. You brought your ukulele, didn't
that's
you?
going to be happening again. That will happen again.
Oh, really? So basically, you're just going to recycle what we did last year.
Yeah, we just replayed last year's.
But maybe do it, sort of good.
Dearie me. Gosh. You bring the poppers, I'll bring the guns.
Oh, it's always the way.
Oh dear! Have you got a heavy topic? Do I need to press some music, or can we go straight into it?
No, I'm continuing your topic this morning
go on.
because I've been very interested. I've got to be honest, Ian. I mean,
Yes.
you and we agree on an awful lot of things. I'm not sure we agree on this today. Yeah. From 9 this morning, would you be happy with a zero tolerance approach to drink driving? Now,
Yes, I
clearly
would.
you would.
Yes, I would.
Bedfordshire police have caught someone driving over 8 times the legal alcohol limit. I'm going out this afternoon.
Try and beat it.
No. I'm going out with Bedfordshire police in the back of the traffic car.
Oh, are you? Oh, that
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So I might get to see some of these drink drivers this afternoon.
Yep.
Thames Valley, Hertfordshire and Bedfordshire all make the top 10 nationally when it comes to the number of drunk drivers caught since 2011. But is zero tolerance the answer? I'll tell you why I'm not so keen on a zero tolerance approach. Because, I mean, we all want to stop drunk drivers, don't we?
Yes.
We want to stop people who are drunk driving a car. This bloke,
Yes.
I mean, clearly he's an idiot. 8 times over the drink drive limit. He must have been virtually paralytic 8 times.
That's incredible, isn't it?
4 times you're really drunk.
Yeah.
Really, really drunk. So 8 times, I mean, presumably you could hardly walk.
Yeah.
It's outrageous. And we all want to stop people like that.
Yes, we do.
But why should we have to stop people who just want a little Pinot Grigio with their Quattro Formaggi at 7 o'clock in the evening and then they drive home 4 hours later? They're not the problem, are they?
We don't know.
Well, they're not, are they? I mean, they're not drunk drivers.
No, but the drunk drivers, everyone reacts to alcohol differently, and people react to alcohol differently at different times. Why do you need to have that glass of wine and then drive? If you know you're going to drive, don't have the glass of wine.
But surely laws and restrictions are supposed to be there to make our society safer.
Yes.
To make things better for society.
Yes.
But if we're identifying the problem being the drunk driver, the person who, because of alcohol, is unable to drive a car safely, then surely we need to target them without targeting human beings who just take responsibility for themselves and are reasonable.
But see, now what you're doing there is you're emphasising the word drunk drivers. I think it's anybody who's had a drink. Why is it responsible for someone to have a glass of wine that one day may not affect them at all, but another day may affect them completely differently, and then to get behind a car? If your reactions are slow by just even a bit, that could be enough to cause an accident.
But there are all kinds of things that can affect somebody's ability to drive on any particular day. I mean, if you've had a bad day at work and you drive home, chances are you're thinking about your bad day. You're not perhaps concentrating as much on the road as you would have done the day before when you had a good day at work. There are all kinds of things.
Ban them. Ban grumpy drivers.
Do you know what I think is the answer? I
Yes.
think is the answer to this. I think we've got to have cars. The car manufacturers have got to take some responsibility for this as well, perhaps in conjunction with the alcohol industry.
Yeah.
And I think we've got to have some method of, before you can start a car, you have to breathe into a little breathalyzer on the dashboard. Why are you laughing at this? This is a good idea. You breathe it, you blow into the dashboard.
You have to blow your car to get anywhere.
You blow into the thing, and then it says, beep, yes, you're okay, you're under the alcohol limit. You can then start the car and drive.
Shall I tell the obvious flaw in that?
Someone else will blow into it.
Thank you very much.
Well, how many people are going to do that? You know, I've had 4 pints of beer and I say, oh, I'm probably a bit over the limit, Ian. Can you blow into this? And you're not going to... be complicit in allowing me to drink drive, are you?
But some people would do that. The responsibility isn't with the alcohol companies. It isn't with the car manufacturers. It's with you. The responsibility is with you to not put yourself and other people in danger.
And that's the point. And I am responsible, and I'm sure most people listening to this programme are responsible. And if they go out, they might have, you know what, you go out for a pub lunch, you might have a pint of shandy or something. It doesn't mean that you are Britain's biggest criminal, does it? The fact that you then drive home a couple of hours later. And people like that should not be criminalised, in my opinion. It's the drunk drivers.
It just seems to me so obvious. It makes it so simple. If you have a drink of booze, you don't drive a car. Why do you need to drive a car? Why do you need to have that drink?
I like going to country pubs. I mean, here in Beds, we've got beautiful country pubs in the middle of nowhere.
Wonderful.
And you have to drive to get to them.
Taxi.
When I go to a pub, I quite like to drive to a pub. I'll have a pint of beer. I'll have a chat with my friends or whoever I'm there. A few hours later, I'll drive home.
Get a taxi.
I don't have to get a taxi. Why should I have to get a taxi just because some bloke in Bedford was 8 times over the drink drive limit, was clearly a muppet, whether there had been a zero limit or not? He would still have got himself absolutely legless and then driven a car. Why should I and everyone else, who is a reasonable, rational human being, be restricted because of some plonker?
08459 455 555 is the telephone number. It's going to be. Listen, if we're falling out over this,
I know. I don't want this to be a permanent blight on our relationship.
It's going to be a feisty one. I look forward to listening to it.
Good. Are you going to phone?
Am I allowed to phone your show?
Under different voices.
I might do.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's going to be a feisty one. If I can argue with him for 6 minutes, then just go to work on him on this one. Don't let him get away with this, please. Please. Now, on to other things. We've been talking this morning about Joan Parker, who is set to be evicted from Milton Keynes Hospital tomorrow morning. Well, the 82-year-old says she has nowhere suitable to live. Lots of you have been getting in touch with varying opinions. The majority, I have to say, suggesting the family needs to, in inverted commas, take more responsibility. It's not always as simple as that. Anne Lark is from Age UK Milton Keynes and joins me on the line now to talk about the services available to elderly people when they come out of hospital. Good morning, Anne.
Good morning.
Now, obviously, we can't talk about this specific case, but how much help is available for elderly people making a transition between hospital and home?
There's quite a lot of help, actually. There's the problem is people knowing about it. The statutory services have help, so intermediate care services from our primary care and from district nurses and support from GPs. But voluntary organisations and community sector organisations like ours provide quite a lot of practical support. So things like sometimes, it's just about confidence. It's about people going back home and feeling a little bit nervous about going home, particularly if you've had a fall and your fall's been at home. And so go back into that same environment can be really quite worrying. But it's also the very practical things like shopping. Who's going to buy your bread and your milk, and who's going to pop in to see that you're okay? Sometimes there's a medical follow-on, and there's sometimes the personal care elements that need to be people need help with. But sometimes there's these other things to make you feel safe and confident about living back home.
Many families do find themselves, sadly, at a crossroads like this, that their mum or dad's home is no longer suitable. Their parent doesn't want to go into a home, but they can't move in the family. Sometimes people have to bite the bullet and make that sometimes uncomfortable move into a home. Sometimes it's not the right thing, and sometimes it is, And I think every case is individual, right? It's very difficult to talk about, individual cases. Of course.
Certainly this one we don't know enough about. Because it is a shocking headline, isn't it? About people being in hospital. So we hear the opposite sometimes, where people are hurried out of hospital when they're not medically fit. And that's wrong too. But actually being in hospital when you are medically fit is not the right place to be. And certainly for older people, because the longer people are in hospital, there are more problems that arise. So finding somewhere suitable to live is really very important, and certainly hospital is not the place to be if you are well enough to be somewhere else.
As a society, do we need to do more to help our elderly people after a long stay in hospital? It can be a tough transition, can't it?
It can be a very, very difficult time. And it can be a deal breaker, in terms of people being able to live independently. If we can get people out of hospital safely, and I think that's the key, is safely, back into their own homes if that's where they want to be, and they can be, or into alternative accommodation, we can do that safely, then those people are more able to live independently as they want to. But the longer people are in hospital, the more difficult that becomes. So yes, we do have to get better at this. Sometimes our problem is actually finding out the people that need the help. We only know as an organisation, like other organisations, know the people we know. We don't know the people we don't know, and there are probably people out there who do need support or would welcome some level of support and choose what they want, because not everyone's the same. So what one person needs, another person doesn't. So we have to have this whole raft of services for people to choose from. But yes, we certainly need to do more.
And finally, what about people who say, well, hang on a second, it's your mum, it's your dad, why aren't they moving in with you? What would you say to that?
It sounds great, doesn't it? And I'm sure some people would say that's absolutely what should happen. But it's not always possible for people to do. And it's not always the right thing for people to do. We don't know. We have this glossy view of what families are like. And, some families are incredibly supportive, but they're not close by. Some families are working with grown-up children and have to work and not there all the time to take care of older parents. So it's not quite as straightforward as that, and it's not always the right decision. Not just for the families, but it's not always the right decision for the older person either.
And thank you very much, Anne Lark from Aged UK, Milton Keynes. If you want to have your say, 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning. Lots to talk about in the last 30 minutes of the show, including drink driving, and a couple of interesting texts here about Elroy, who owns the Caribbean restaurant in Wickham, and there is a massive, great trench dug outside there by Southern Electric. It's massive. He's losing money. Loads of you have texted in. Nick says, the trench outside that Caribbean restaurant, just a thought, is there a way through the pile of dirt or over it? If there's a fire in any neighbouring properties, is there a safe route for people to use? Sounds like it's definitely a case for health and safety or the fire service. Phil makes a good point. Am I the only one who thinks we should set JVS on Southern Electric? That's what we should do. Let's send it over to them, see if they want to have a little look at that. They might be interested in that. On the subject of drunk driving, facebook.com/BBC3CR is the... you're right, actually. In fairness, we have just spoken about the Southern Electric story. We should, of course, see if that statement has finished from Southern Electric.
Priority at all times, both for our staff...
Nope. Oh, Ewan's fallen down a hole!
In Desborough Road is to allow us to carry out essential...
Yet he still carries on with the statement. Thank you very much, Ewan. On drink driving, Matt Barrett says many countries have a zero tolerance...
access to the restaurant.
Thank you. He's out of the hole. Many countries have a zero tolerance limit for alcohol. I think it's the right way to go. Unfortunately, it'll never work for 3 reasons. People will bleat it's their right to have one drink and it doesn't affect them. Yes, you heard JVS bleating like that. The pub industry has powerful lobbyists and pounds and will make sure the politicians know where their votes are coming from. Money and jobs. If people stop driving to the pub or popping in for a swift one after work, then yes, pubs will be closed. But also the government will lose a lot of revenue. But if you stand less chance of losing a loved one because of a drunk driver, isn't that a price worth paying? Says Matt. Well, I think so. Let's see what John in Biggleswade has to say. Morning, John.
Good morning.
John, what would you like to say?
Well, I believe that, personally I drive, and when I'm going out with friends, I will often offer to be the designated driver because I can have a good time without alcohol. That's easy for me to do.
Yes.
But I believe that there shouldn't be a zero-tolerance policy only because of products like mouthwash, other alcoholic-based products as well. But in this day and age, we have a 20-minute rule where the police will ask, have you had a drink within the last 20 minutes? If you say yes, that could invalidate the response that the breathalyzer has given. It's the same with mouthwash. If you've used mouthwash in the last 20 minutes, you could have, in fact, you can invalidate the response from the actual breathalyzer. But it doesn't mean to say that people have to drink when they're out. my own personal approach is, I don't need to have a drink to have a good time. Why should anyone need to have a drink to have a good time?
Yes, you're right about you're right. I don't think people do need to have a drink. If you need to have a drink to have a good time, then boy, you're in trouble. But there needs to be a slight margin of error, doesn't there? So that it would accommodate things like mouthwash. It would accommodate you having a nice tiramisu with a bit of booze in there, or a nice sherry trifle.
Well, I wouldn't want to lose my licence because I've got clean teeth.
Well, no, that would be rather unfortunate. But there would. I mean, the amount of alcohol that you have in your mouth after 20 minutes, you're right about the 20-minute rule, it is minimal, and you would have a margin of error that would allow for that and would accommodate that.
Yes, that's correct. I mean, at the moment, is it 35 milligrams per...
I don't know. This is where the numbers... I know 80 milligrams is the limit in this country, and then we start getting into figures and milligrams, which... hey, facts. Who let facts get in the way of a good argument? Certainly not me. But, so I don't quite know the percentages, but... 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give me a call on that. We've been sent an amazing picture of John is my crash correspondent. He sent me 2 pictures of car crashes. The first one is the new road system in Dunstable. Remember we talked about it the other day? That kind of wide street. It's a shared highway. Been no crashes there. Well, John has sent me a picture of a crash on that road, apparently. But when we may look at that again, he's also sent me a picture of a crash on the Luton Dunstable busway. Wrecked car. We are hearing more and more of incidents of cars driving down the busway. Wasn't there a lorry changing their tyre recently? I think this warrants more of an investigation. So 08459 455 555. Incidents on the Luton to Dunstable busway. If you've got any photographs, as John has sent me, email them in, please. ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. Dominic in Toddington has called in on this. Morning, Dominic.
Good morning, Ian.
What would you like to say?
I was actually on a bus, fortunately not on the busway. I was actually on Hattersway yesterday.
Yeah.
And as I said to Kelly a few minutes ago, I think it was a car coming towards us, going towards Luton, and I think it came onto our side of the road.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it sort of crashed straight through the fence onto the busway. I didn't actually see it happen, but as I went past the scene very slowly, bus driver obviously wanted to make sure the driver was all right, and the car actually landed on the busway.
Was it a blue car, Dominic?
Yes.
This is the picture I have in front of me then. And it has, you're right, it smashed through the fence. They've obviously cleared up the fence there. The car is a write-off. The front is completely crumpled.
That's right, yeah. How
did the car... I can't quite work out from this photograph how the car got there and what it was doing to get there.
I don't know. As I said to you, there was. I think it must have lost control. I don't know whether it was actually overtaking another vehicle. I don't know. It was going into Luton. I was going the other way out towards the hospital, and it came onto our side of the road. And it must have been doing a terrific rate of speed, and I suddenly shot straight to the fence. I didn't actually see it actually happen. But it was only the aftermath that when I looked at the fencing, I thought, oh my God, it was lucky it wasn't killed.
Yeah. The driver got out, did they?
Yes, yeah. And somebody went over. They actually, people actually got out, somebody actually got out of another car to make sure that the driver was all right. I immediately phoned the police to tell them.
Yeah.
So obviously they had to close Hatters Way. And of course, the busway was closed as well for a while, but fortunately, by the time I went back to Toddington later, the bus was still running.
The thing about when you are in or witness a car crash, doesn't it make an incredible noise?
Yes.
Because you're used to seeing them on films and things, but when you hear it in real life, the noise is incredible.
Yeah.
That crunching of metal. Dominic, I appreciate your call. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, that's I would imagine is the picture that we've got in front of us that John has sent in. So we're going to look into this, into the Luton to Dunstable busway. It's been up and running for a couple of months now. It's been there for a while. Remember, we did a live broadcast from outside Luton train station. Man, it was cold. All I remember, it was cold and it was damp. But we'll look into this. If you've got any stories, maybe you've been a passenger on the bus, you're a bus driver, or you just drive past it, any stories of cars going the wrong way, cars going down the busway, anything like that, 08459 455 555, or do send me an email, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. There's definitely something going on, and it warrants a little bit of a look. Should we have a quick look at the front pages of the newspapers, shall we? Let's have a look, see what's happening. Right, let's start with these ones. The Independent, puppy power. MPs set to debate scandal of UK's battery-farmed pets. Born into a world of darkness and filth with little or no human contact, they're often left without food or water. No, it's not Kelly Betts, it's puppies. It's puppies. Facebook democracy, the face of things to come. Speaker of the Commons calls on internet giants to lead digital revolution in British politics. Commission will draw up blueprint for, here's a phrase that's been made up by a team of idiots, Parliament 2.0. The Times. Plain packs for cigarettes after Cameron's U-turn. PM seeks to head off populist Labour policy. Cigarettes are to be sold in plain packaging before the next general election after a U-turn by David Cameron designed to head off Labour claims that he's in hock to the tobacco lobby. There we go. Let's see what else we've got here. The Guardian, greed is good. Boris invokes Thatcher spirit. Johnson calls for return of selective schools and bid for Tory right support. Match fixing hits British football, said the Daily Telegraph. 6 arrested by police investigating betting syndicate. And the front page of The Express, crackdown on EU migrants. Cameron is forced to get tough, thanks to Daily Express readers, you reckon. The Daily Mail, immigration, the backlash, and The Sun, habitual criminal Nigella. TV cook lied over drug use, says Saatchi. Nigella Lawson is to be grilled in court under oath about drugs. I think this is all rather unpleasant. This is all being played out in public, whatever happens. On the subject of the busway, it's Paul in Stevenage. Good morning, Paul.
Morning, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Paul, what have you spotted?
Well, I think I know what one of the problems might be. Obviously, they've changed the road layout. I'm not familiar with Dunstable and Luton, really, but I was driving through at about 5 o'clock the other night. Obviously, it's dark if you don't know where you're going. And they've changed the roads around a little bit, and my sat-nav nearly took me on there. I only noticed at the last minute.
I see.
I think it's a sat-nav problem.
So people are... this is the problem with sat-navs, and this is why you've acted right here. You should never blindly follow the sat-nav. You need a little bit of common sense and your eyes, don't you?
Yeah, you do. But if it's dark, obviously it's a lot easier to miss it and go on there than it is during the day. But, and I'm talking about a 3-month-old car, so I'm not talking about an old sat-nav. It's the fact that it's just not on the system yet. The road layouts have changed, and it's trying to take you where it shouldn't be taking you.
Paul, thank you very much indeed. Yeah, so could it be a sat-nav problem? That's incredible if that's the case. 08459 455 555. On the subject of drink driving, some texts here. Michael says, most policemen can smell the difference between drink and mouthwash when they stop the driver. Dan from Flitwick. Iain Lee, zero tolerance drinking driving. If they get caught, they should lose the licence, full stop, and not a ban of 12 months, because if they kill someone, they lose their life. I had a friend that got killed by a drunk driver. He had a family and kids, wife. The driver got 12 months ban. Suzanne says, Iain, our little corner shop has just applied for a drinks licence from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m, 7 days a week. I'm incensed. No wonder we have so many drunk drivers. And Helen in Milton Keynes says, why don't they have a breathalyzer linked with ignition? Oh, this is JVS's idea. It wouldn't work. So the car wouldn't start if there's any alcohol in the system. I've said for years there should be zero tolerance. That way everyone knows where they are. 08459 455 555. The last 15 minutes of the show, more of your calls on drink driving, more of your calls on... I tell you what we can talk about as well, the last 15 minutes, secrets and lies that you've told to your partners. I've just spent 30 quid buying 200 7-inch singles from eBay. My wife's going to kill me when she finds out. She's found out. Someone tweeted her. She's tweeted, Iain, I have no problem with this. The recycling truck passes our house in a week's time, so you'll have a few days to enjoy them. That's cold. So, drink driving, zero tolerance. I know JVS disagrees with this. He'll be talking about this after 9 o'clock. I do think it's the only obvious option. Everybody knows where they are in that case. You get in the car, if you've had a drink, you don't drive. Simple. And booze can affect you different ways on different days. Different time of the day. Have you eaten? Did you get a good night's sleep? You feeling stressed? All of these things affect how it affects you. 08459 455 555. Peter's in Wolverton. Peace be with you, brother.
Good morning, Ian. Peace be with you, brother.
What can I do for you this morning, Peter?
Drink driving, it should be zero tolerance. Nobody should get behind the wheel of a motor car if they've ever had any alcoholic beverage within 6 hours at least, so that they are totally and absolutely clear-headed. I have an acquaintance, not a friend, but an acquaintance. I used to work with this chap who was involved in an accident, car accident, and it involved a person that was very much over the limit, unfortunately. And when he awoke after 3 months in a coma, only to find that his partner, who was the passenger in the car, not only had been killed, but had been cremated, and he's never ever got over that situation. It's an awfully sad situation. It really, really is.
Well, that kind of brings it home, doesn't it? Which is why it strikes me as so odd that people will still say, "Yeah, but."
It's impossible. You must not ever drink and drive, because let's face it, a motor car is a very powerful killing machine if it's in the wrong hands. And how often do we hear of people that have been mown down on the footpath or zebra crossings because the person was drunk at the wheel? And it's a terrible, terrible thing. No drinking, no driving.
Well, the JVS's argument was that why should he, as a responsible driver, and I use that word deliberately, why should he, as a responsible driver, be denied having a glass of wine at lunch, then driving a couple of hours later? Because that's different from being a drunk driver, isn't it?
Well, I suppose so. A couple of hours, that gives time for the material to disperse in the body, etc., and the head to clear. But JVS is quite a large chap, so his glass of wine isn't going to do a lot. But if he was a little tiny fellow, maybe there would be a problem. But generally, if you are going to drive, do not drink. I follow that policy because it's a no-no.
Peter, thank you very much indeed. Ian is on the line now. Ian, you disagree, do you?
I disagree with that entirely, Ian. He's just told a story about somebody that got killed by a very drunk driver. Now that's who the problem is. The people that go out and get absolutely paralytic and then drive. It shouldn't be a case of zero tolerance. People should be able to have 2 or 3 drinks. As long as they're...
it's three drinks now, is it?
If I had 2 or 3 drinks, it wouldn't affect me. I know that.
But the limit...
2 or 3 drinks.
Ian, the limit is 2 pints of beer, roughly.
Yeah, I don't do it, but I know that 2 or 3 drinks I'd still be fine to drive. Put it this way.
Oh, dear.
Who'd be the better or the more dangerous driver? Would it be me, who's a professional driver,
having 3 drinks,
had 2 pints,
yeah, 3 pints,
having 2 pints,
yeah,
or the 19-year-old girl that's passed a test a couple of weeks before, who's just had a flaming row with a boyfriend and didn't have a good night's sleep the night before? Who would be the person more likely to be in an accident? Because I tell you, it wouldn't be me; it'd be her.
Why are you comparing apples and oranges? I don't understand.
Because what I'm saying is it's all relative, and...
if it's relative, who would be more likely to have an accident? You, having your 2 or 3 drinks, or somebody who's not had any drinks?
It would be me.
Well, exactly. So let's compare like with like, shall we, instead of comparing completely different things. So you've just admitted that after 2 or 3 drinks, you would be more likely to have an accident. So... let's get rid of all of that likeliness.
Ian, who would be more likely to have an accident? Somebody who's had 9 hours sleep, or somebody that's had 4 hours sleep? Are we going to make it law that people must have 8 hours sleep?
No, Ian, your argument, with the greatest of respect, your argument is complete and utter nonsense. You're not comparing like with like.
I've just compared like with like, Ian. Somebody with 9 hours sleep and somebody with 4 hours sleep. Who is the more likely to have an accident?
It's not like with like. Ian, stay there. Howard wants to say something. Good morning, Howard. You're through to Ian and Ian.
Hello, mate. All right.
Go on, Howard. What do you want to say?
I'm with you on this one, mate.
Go on.
It's no zero tolerance on that.
But Ian reckons that 2 or 3 pints, he'll be fine to drive. Yeah, he'd be slightly more likely to have an accident, but he'll be fine.
No, I don't care. You don't drink. It's full stop. You don't drink.
Ian?
I disagree completely. I think that there are other factors, for instance, stress, for instance, medical conditions, for instance, lack of sleep, experience of driving that could lead to an accident.
But then
Drinking a couple of pints is going to very, very slightly impair you.
Very.
Just as lack of sleep will.
Yeah, but Ian, if you had 3 pints and you got pulled over, say you was in an accident and you have had 3 pints of lager or whatever, and you was in an accident, how would you feel when you got breathalyzed and you was over the limit? How would you feel then?
Well, I'd be gutted because I wouldn't do it.
But Ian, you've just said, and we're running out of time, so I want to go to Justin, but you've just said there's a very, very slight chance you'll be more likely to have an accident. Well, that's too much of a chance, isn't it?
I disagree.
Okay, Ian, we have to end it there, just because I want to speak to Justin, but Ian disagrees. And the whole sleep and stress thing, if there is a factor you can control, which is your intake of alcohol, then why introduce it? Anyway, right, I want to speak to Justin. Justin. I'm very, very excited.
I know you are.
30 quid, 200 7-inch vinyl records from the 60s. I don't know what's in there. It's going to be wonderful and some of it is going to be junk. My missus is going to kill me, and she has found out. She's just tweeted, Ian, I've got no problem with this. The recycling truck passes our house in a week's time, so you'll have a few days to enjoy them.
Oh, fair play to you, boss, for doing this. I'm so proud of you. So proud.
I'm proud of me. If this is my midlife crisis, I can handle this. You've been out to ask people whether their record collection has caused problems.
Yeah, it's caused problems for me for years. People saying, why don't you get rid of it? Why don't you put it in a box? Put it in a box?
What?
That is my pride and joy. Why don't you download? Why? No, I want to touch. I want to feel. So I've been out into the streets this morning, and here's what happened. Alison, you're here with your husband this morning. He's got a very large collection. You want him to get rid of that collection, don't you?
Yeah, most of it, yes.
Why?
Most of his CDs are about war and fighting and all that sort of thing.
And what about having more space as well?
Well, that's a good idea. Yeah, it's a good idea. I could use that space. I could.
Is it causing problems in your relationship?
No. After 60 years, no, I don't think so. No.
But despite the fact he wants to keep it, you keep pushing him, saying, come on, get rid.
Yeah, he's not going to do that, is he?
I say well done to that man. Thank you very much.
Oh, you would.
Caroline, you're a music lover, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
Now, what do you think about some of those ladies out there who say to their partner, right, your collection, it's too big, get rid of it?
I think they're wrong. They shouldn't be with them.
So you think the man's got every right to say, right, you, on your bike?
Yeah, I do.
Dino, you're a vinyl lover, aren't you? Your partner hasn't said to you, get rid of it. What would you do if she came in one day and said, Dino, sit down, I need to have a little chat. It's about time that your vinyl went. We need more space. What would you do, Dino?
I'd say no, I'm not getting rid of it.
What if she said, it's the vinyl or me?
I'd keep the vinyl.
So seriously, you're that passionate about the vinyl, you would keep that and say goodbye to your wife?
Yeah, definitely.
Dino, you're outrageous, but do you know what? I like you.
Thank you very much.
Now, you see, I did have a little bit of a clear out recently. A lot of CDs, some of my vinyl, and as soon as... Well, this is the thing. The CDs I'm not that fussed about, but...
Oh, Ian, you've given in.
Well, I know,
You've given in. I thought more of you.
But one of... the vinyl, getting rid of the vinyl, as soon as I did that, I felt really bad. I did feel bad about that.
Don't sell your vinyl. Don't do it.
Well, I've just bought a load more.
Good for you.
The thing
You've made up for it.
I have to bring up... I will do this. We've had a few complaints...
Oh, yeah.
...against you...
Right.
...from female and male members of the staff.
What about?
Well, this is a secret recording that someone made of you earlier on in the week.
Okay. Oh, I want to touch, I want to feel.
You see, now, we're getting...
I want to touch, I want to feel.
We're getting more and more reports of...
I want to touch, I want to feel.
Of this behaviour, Justin, and...
I want to touch, I want to feel.
It's just not acceptable.
Okay, well, listen, I've always wanted a day out of court, so I'll, see the guys there, yeah? I want to touch, I want to feel.
It's a satisfactory outcome.
There we go, that week we just got the end of the statement there from Southern Electric, at last! Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. What a busy show. If you've got stories about the Luton to Dunstable busway, just had a great one on Facebook. Thank you for that. Then send me an email, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. Thank you for that, Penny. Right, back tomorrow at 6. JVS up next. Ta-ta.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thanks, Ian.